The adventurer stands as a fearless warrior, entrusted with a sacred artifact that imbues him with astonishing power. Countless dangers await along his path, forcing him to confront both demons and monstrous foes in battles where the odds are rarely in his favor. Guided by unwavering faith and courage, he strides boldly into the darkness, determined to shield those unable to defend themselves. After saving entire cities from swarms of demons and monsters, this wanderer gained worldwide renown as a legendary hero. Tales of his incredible feats and victories spread far and wide, passed down from parents to children, encouraging future heroes to follow in the brilliant footsteps of their illustrious predecessor. Tales of the ancient wanderer's feats, saving cities and defeating demons, inspired a burning desire within the young man to become a legendary hero himself. Immersed in the ancient legends swirling across the pages, he failed to notice someone suddenly appear at his side, and with a swift motion, snatch the book from his hands. From a young age, the boy lost himself in the world of books, dreaming of one day becoming a true hero like those he read about in thrilling tales. His thoughts spun with adventures and daring deeds, leaving him oblivious as two bullies crept up and snatched the book from his hands. Now, the pair curiously examined the story that had so completely captured his attention. One of the troublemakers asked if he was reading alone again, while another leaned over his shoulder to glance at the pages and realized it was another story about a hero who began as a weakling but, after acquiring a sacred artifact, transformed into someone powerful and celebrated. The bully pressed on, relentlessly questioning whether he truly dreamed of becoming a hero. At that moment, a third boy stepped in and declared that he would never make a hero, lacking the courage needed for such a role. On that very day, the words of the mischief makers echoed in his mind for the first time with true weight. Yet rather than abandon his dream, a deep resolve welled up within him. He would become a genuine adventurer no matter what. A sudden, loud shout rang out as someone demanded the stolen book be returned to the boy. The bullies spun around to find Ruby standing before them. The arrival of this girl opened a door for the boy to prove his courage. Her support became a wellspring of confidence, and with newfound strength, he felt ready to stand up to the bullies and defend his right to enjoy his favorite books. His eyes opened, and the name of the very girl who helped him believe in himself and encouraged his first step toward his cherished dream slipped quietly from his lips. At that moment, her gaze lingered on the boy, studying him with a look of careful appraisal. As Ratsu returned to her side, a hint of shyness flickered across Ruby's face. Still, she managed a gentle smile, greeting him with a soft good morning. Beads of sweat dotted her forehead, betraying both her nervousness and the quiet happiness bubbling within her. With a puzzled look, he asked how and why she had ended up in his room. The girl struggled to explain her sudden appearance, but the words caught in her throat, leaving her unable to clearly express what she wanted to say. The older sister explained that she had knocked on the door for a long time, yet the young man gave no response, so she ended up climbing inside through the window. On top of that, she had been assigned the task of waking him. The unexpected manner in which she did so left Rats stunned. Amazement rooted him to the spot, unable to move. The girl moved briskly, urging the boy to keep pace, for today promised the long-awaited ceremonial blessing they had anticipated for so long. At last, the young man grasped the full gravity of the situation. Today marked the day of the sacred ceremony, when God bestowed unique and holy treasures upon children who had reached the age of 12. The mother told her children that she would not be able to accompany them to the ceremony. Ruby-chan received a request to keep an eye on Ratsu. The girl clarified her reasoning, insisting that as the older sister, it was her duty to look after him. Meanwhile, Ratsu nearly broke into a smile upon hearing this, knowing full well they were the same age and no such age gap existed between them. Fascinated by the lively scene, the sister gazed around in wonder, unable to hide her delight at the sheer number of people gathered in the church. The air buzzed with excitement, filled with the festive bustle and low hum of voices, bringing her genuine happiness. Noticing her joy, her brother let out a quiet sigh and teased that she was acting just like a little child. With a curious glimmer in her eye, the girl asked if he had stayed up all night reading again. After all, He had been so eager for this special day that she could hardly imagine him sleeping through such an important occasion. Ratsu admitted his nerves were running high as the upcoming ceremony drew near. Hearing his candid confession, Rui promptly echoed his words, as if seeking reassurance that she had truly understood her brother. Realization dawned on her as the reason for the boy's anxiety became clear. This event, a once-in-a-lifetime moment for every child, carried the power to reshape everything. No one could predict which gift the gods might bestow. Concern lingered over the brother as he fretted about possibly receiving some bizarre and mysterious sacred artifact. Ruby offered gentle reassurance, calmly explaining that the odds of such a thing happening were actually quite slim. The older sister went on, explaining how the boys in their village often teased them. She longed for something special, something that would astonish everyone around her. Ratsu silently agreed with her feelings, though no words left his lips. He simply couldn't find the right ones to say. Nearby, two young men spoke in hushed tones. One of them assured his companion that earning at least a C rank during the ceremony would immediately open the path to a true adventurer's life. The man continued the conversation, pointing out that his friend once dreamed of running the family business and selling fruit. In response, his companion agreed, explaining that his goal now is to reach at least level D. With confidence, he declared his belief in himself and his ability to succeed on this new path. Nearby, two girls huddled together, quietly sharing their thoughts. One admitted she found the idea of having a real adventurer as her protector far more exciting than becoming one herself. Her friend nodded in complete agreement. As conversations drifted through the room, the young man realized that not everyone dreamed of becoming an adventurer. The coming-of-age celebration had drawn a large crowd, each person carrying hopes and ambitions of their own. His sister agreed, noting the wide range of dreams and desires woven among the guests. A sudden movement caught Ratsu's attention from the side. With weary eyes, he glanced over and noticed something strange and possibly suspicious. Scanning the crowd, the young man noticed several strangers who stood out for their calm confidence. Suspecting they might be seasoned travelers, he watched them with curiosity, carefully observing their mannerisms and bearing. A rule came to mind. When a seasoned adventurer admired someone's character or skills, they could immediately invite that newcomer into the guild. No usual entrance exam was required. Ruby, her voice edged with skepticism, asked again if this was really true. Tension and anticipation sent a faint tremor through the young man's hands. Sensing her brother's growing agitation, the sister gently reminded him of the promise he had made not so long ago. Both vowed to protect the people of their homeland from the wicked demons that sought to do them harm. United by a common goal, they chose to become true heroes, destined for names that would echo in every household and hearts that would recall their role in preserving peace for generations. An unwavering desire to rise above all others filled their spirits with pride and hope for a brighter future. United by a shared dream of greatness, they yearned to be heroes, admired and emulated by all. Fame and respect remained their steadfast ambitions, drawing them toward the path of adventurers. Only as adventurers did their aspirations feel within reach. With unwavering faith in their own abilities and the strength they found in each other, they never doubted that together they could achieve everything their hearts desired. A strange voice suddenly broke the silence from behind the narrator. The stranger spoke with conviction, claiming that every word he uttered was the honest truth, for he had witnessed countless marvels with his own eyes. The stranger proclaimed with unwavering certainty that a true hero stood before him, someone destined for greatness. Curiosity flickered in the boy's eyes as he gently asked what this noble title truly meant, eager to uncover more about the path that awaited this remarkable individual. Ruby, her excitement unmistakable, declared that the title of hero belonged exclusively to the mightiest and most respected adventurer of all. At that moment, a young man approached her and, with a calm and steady voice, explained that their group had been searching for this girl for quite some time. The friends of the sister, who had fallen slightly behind, called out to her with raised voices, reminding her that she was running late and the ceremony was about to begin. With a quick word to her brother, she let him know she'd be gone for just a moment and promised to return almost immediately. Melancholy filled Ratsu's thoughts as the contrast between them became clear. She moved effortlessly through social circles, forever surrounded by friends and capturing everyone's attention. In contrast, Ratsu preferred the quiet comfort of solitude, spending hours lost in the study of ancient tombs and forgotten legends. An accidental brush of the stranger's shoulder unsettled the boy further, deepening his confusion and heightening the discomfort of an already awkward situation. Helio, the notorious troublemaker known throughout the town for his sharp tongue and brazen attitude, had appeared. As he strolled past, he offered a mocking apology to Ratsu, his sarcastic tone making it clear he barely noticed such a small creature. With a mocking tone, he inquired whether the boy truly intended to attend the ceremony. Wearing a sly grin, the bully remarked with amusement that he was eager to see what sort of worthless trinket such a weakling might receive, if he received anything at all. Helio continued his mockery, openly doubting the boy's ability to compete in the battle, insisting it would be better for him not to show up at all. Fear and uncertainty gripped Ratsu as he gave a timid nod, silently agreeing with the bold teenager's words. Anxiety weighed so heavily on him that it stilled his body and stole any hint of resolve. The bully snatched the boy's favorite book right out of his hands and, sneering, asked if he still reread old fairy tales, as though he could not let go of his childhood toys. A sinister laugh escaped Helio as he shouted that trusting in a single powerful artifact was pure folly. With a sneer, he added that the boy was little more than an infant, not even 2 years old yet, highlighting his innocence and frailty. Out of nowhere, a strong hand clamped down on the bully's wrist, cutting his cruel words short as they died on his lips. As it turned out, the mysterious figure was Ruby. With a stern gaze, she commanded Helio to immediately return the stolen book he had so roughly taken from his younger companion. Relief washed over Ratsu as his sister's support eased the tension and freed him from the uncomfortable pressure Helio had been exerting. Annoyance flickered across the troublemaker's face as he clicked his tongue in irritation, grumbling under his breath that the girl never failed to ruin his fun by meddling in his business. With bold confidence, Helios declared that any man who required protection from a woman was certainly unworthy of possessing the sacred artifact, let alone deserving the title of true adventurer. The boy felt the sting of harsh words pierce through him, leaving him swallowed by a sense of worthlessness and humiliation. Ruby quietly encouraged the boy, suggesting with gentle words that, at times, silence serves as the best response, since such attacks hardly merit a reaction. With evident pride, the young woman explained that her brother aspired to devote himself to a noble pursuit, embracing the courageous path of a hero, prepared to shoulder his responsibilities with honor and face any hardship that might arise. A profound sense of gratitude filled Ratsu towards his sister, for she alone recognized his struggles and offered unwavering support, rekindling his confidence in himself. With solemn authority, the priest announced the commencement of the important blessing ceremony, summoning the young initiates to approach the altar of the temple where sacred relics and divine protection awaited them. Just before the ceremony began, the boy softly whispered a prayer. Memories of an ancient tradition surfaced in his mind. On this very day, the sacred sunlight granted people a path to commune with the gods. Ruby, sensing the significance of the moment, gently alerted her brother that the ceremony had officially started. From the group, a young man suddenly stepped forward, boldly volunteering to be the first to test his fate. His courage and self-assurance set him strikingly apart from the rest. Under the watchful eyes of the gathered crowd, he strode confidently toward the altar, channeling every ounce of his inner resolve into completing the ritual successfully. The priest approached him, gently urging him to focus his thoughts and offer up a heartfelt prayer. Soon, a brilliant beam of light grazed the young man's face, filling him with energy and an inner radiance, a clear sign of divine approval. Brilliant light streamed from the altar, its intensity so overwhelming that most in the church had to shield their eyes with their hands, wincing at the blinding glare and feeling a faint dizziness sweep over them. Ratsu opened his eyes and found himself not in an ordinary church, but in a grand hall bathed in the gentle glow of candles and cloaked in an air of mystery. Here, Within these impressive walls, the most significant blessing ceremony took place, one that determined the fate of every participant. With careful hands, the young man held the mysterious blade bestowed upon him by the gods themselves. Curiosity and respect filled the eyes of everyone around as they gazed upon this new relic, each person quietly wondering about the powers now granted to the sword's enigmatic owner. Straightening to his full height, he proclaimed loudly that the magnificent steel battle axe had chosen him, an axe so remarkable that even the gods themselves had deemed it worthy of a Class C rank. A surge of excitement rippled through one of the young spectators as he cried out in amazement. Unable to contain his admiration and delight, he celebrated the first candidate's good fortune at receiving a powerful artifact, convinced that this achievement was clear proof of remarkable talent and immense potential. The priest explained to those gathered that the true power of the artifact would only be revealed when one was fully equipped with the proper gear and all accompanying ornaments. He urged anyone who possessed a sacred weapon to come forward and declare their treasure at once. A shadow crossed Helio's face as he observed his victorious rival, envy and disappointment twisting inside him. Fate, it seemed, had favored the other, bestowing upon him an artifact of a higher order. One of the girls rose quietly, walked with determined steps toward the altar, and bowed deeply before the sacred relic. Immersed in sincere prayer, she wholeheartedly pleaded with the gods to grant her a worthy sacred artifact. The storm dagger of C rank was now in her possession. Amidst the gathered crowd, a cautious suggestion arose that perhaps this year would bring a bountiful harvest. He mentioned that this was already the second person to hold such a title. The young man beside him held his breath, anticipation flickering in his eyes as he waited to see what would happen next. Ratsu watched the surrounding joy with calm acceptance, fully aware that these treasures had been bestowed by the will of the gods themselves. Artifact items are classified into 6 primary ranks: A, B, C, D, E, and F. Rank D is generally regarded as average. Among them, a stroke of luck has favored 2 individuals who acquired valuable items of Class C. Such treasures are considered substantial prizes, making their discovery truly remarkable. Ruby hoped that worthy artifacts would come their way as well. With a silent nod, the brother signaled his agreement, fully aware that this night would alter the course of their lives. Fully aware of his own weakness and his tendency to break into tears, shaped by a lifetime of teasing and humiliation, he stood on the threshold of a crucial turning point. At this moment, fate offered him a chance for transformation, but to seize it, he needed a powerful artifact, one said to grant strength and unwavering confidence. Calmed by his sister's reassuring words that everything would turn out fine, he soon learned the truth. Helio had acquired a B-rank lightning spear. Delight spread among their friends, who claimed they had suspected as much and eagerly urged him to show them the spear. Time after time, various groups invited him to join their ranks and promised a dazzling future as an adventurer. Yet, with an air of quiet superiority, the young man only offered a wry smile, his sharp eyes scrutinizing the eager faces before him. Deep down, he doubted any of these would-be adventurers possessed real talent or usefulness. Ratsu wholeheartedly cheered on Helio, his joy at the victory shining through. Meanwhile, Ruby watched the unfolding events with envy, her determination hardening to claim a treasure even more valuable and powerful. Encouraged by the boy standing nearby, she received his heartfelt wish for good luck. The girls softly spoke her name and began their prayer, completely absorbed in communion with the divine. Nearby, the boy lingered in hesitation, caught between doubt and hope. Uncertain if his older sister understood his inner turmoil, he wrestled with his emotions in silence. Back in his childhood, the greatest joy came from losing himself in books, often spending hours alone with the stories he cherished most. Vivid memories lingered in his mind of cruel taunts from peers, their harsh words claiming he would never become a real hero. Through it all, only his sister remained at his side, shielding him from ridicule, offering unwavering support, and instilling in him a quiet confidence. Courage defined her as she shielded her younger brother from anyone who dared to pick on him. Yet, with the wisdom of an older sister, she understood deep down that she could not always remain by his side to protect him. The boy would need to learn how to stand his ground and show others that he was worthy of respect. The girl understood as well that his greatest wish was to become a true hero. In that moment, a thought took root in the boy's mind, a yearning to become as strong and courageous as his older sister. The A-rank fire dragon sword slipped from Ruby's grasp, falling silently to the ground. With a solemn air, the priest lifted the unique artifact high, admitting that he had never seen anything like it before and proclaiming it a true marvel. Genuine admiration filled the young man's heart whenever he thought of Rubia. With a flourish, she showcased the most powerful artifact from her collection to her younger brother, who gazed at her in awe, truly believing she was a real-life heroine. Suddenly, a flurry of invitations to join various teams came her way, yet she simply wished the rats good luck and decided to forge her own path forward. Approaching the altar, the young man bowed his head and earnestly prayed for the strength to become a true hero. Desperate to shed the image of a frail, tearful boy easily bested by Helio, he pleaded for strength. More than anything, he yearned for the power to stand alongside Rubia and fight by her side, free from any trace of shame about his own worth. All this power served only one purpose: to shield his beloved older sister from harm. All hope faded the moment the young man received an astonishingly peculiar artifact, one that was, to be honest, far from appealing. Helio let out a booming laugh and sneered that all the boy had left was a worthless pile of junk. Amid the cheerful laughter that filled the room, a sharp click of women's heels cut through the noise. The sudden sound instantly drew the eyes of everyone gathered there. The moment the young woman stepped into the room, every gaze turned her way. Her beauty and grace radiated true nobility. She carried herself with an effortless poise and quiet dignity that left no doubt in anyone's mind. In her presence, it became immediately clear that they stood before the renowned figure whose flawless reputation preceded her. Paluti's heroine approached Ruby and invited her to join her team. Amazement swept through the crowd as Paluti, the legendary heroine herself, invited this girl to join her team. Most believed that such an offer was too precious to refuse, since fortune like this rarely favored anyone. Ruby struggled to grasp the reality of this miracle that had unexpectedly come her way. The protagonist made a confident declaration that she should be followed, while the girl blinked in confusion, searching for an explanation and struggling to find the right words. Ruby tightened her grip on her brother's hand and, her voice gentle and warm, kindly asked the distinguished lady to wait a moment. News of his reward, a lowest-rank F-class artifact, left the boy utterly stunned as he gazed down at the completely rusted and battered sword resting in his hands. The elder sister approached Paluti, earnestly asking him to let Ratsush join the team. Her sincerest wish was for her brother to stand beside her as a member of this renowned group. Her words cut sharply as she told the young man that a life of adventure was simply not meant for him. A deep sense of disillusionment and hopelessness settled over the young man, as though any possibility of altering his fate had vanished for good. The meaning behind the heroine's words dawned on him, and he was certain now that this had to be the weakest artifact imaginable. Paluti went on with her explanation, describing how a demon's skin is incredibly tough and further guarded by layers of magic. Attacking with an ordinary weapon or a low-level artifact would prove useless for Razu, leaving not even a scratch on those formidable hide. The girl mentioned that his weapon belonged to the lowest rank, Class F. Realization dawned on the young man. The blessing ceremony had ended in utter failure, and life as a perpetual loser now seemed unavoidable. The heroine calmly continued her explanation, noting that if he joined their ranks, he would quickly become easy prey for monsters or demons. Maintaining her icy composure, she then suggested he abandon any further attempts to become a hero. With quiet confidence, his sister responded that the truth would remain hidden until someone dared to try for themselves. With genuine warmth, she promised that she would certainly help. Her words left the boy so bewildered that he stood there at a loss, uncertain how to respond. A clear understanding settled within him. His relative would always choose him over any celebrated hero, steadfastly remaining his protector as if he were still a small child. The weight of this realization drew the boy into a profound sadness. No longer willing to seek refuge in the safety of others, Ratsu decided that very day to take matters into his own hands. He asked the girl to walk ahead and wait for him there. With a steady voice, he declared he would certainly pass the trial and become a true adventurer. His sister reminded him of the promise he had made before, but he only smiled and spoke of a future where even the most renowned heroes would not surpass him as a traveler. The young man declared with quiet determination that he would become the one capable of protecting this girl, vowing to catch up to her, no matter what. Suddenly, a familiar vision flickered before Ruby's eyes. The memory unfolded just as it had long ago, her younger brother commanding the monsters to withdraw from her. The memory of her brother's firm grip on her tiny hand returned, his voice full of confidence telling her that she was strong enough to overcome any challenge. In his presence, even the animals would quietly retreat at the sound of his words. Scenes of him begging her not to cry, soothing her fears, and promising never to leave her side played vividly in her mind. In a soft whisper, the girl uttered a single, yet profound word. Hero. Memories of childhood clouded her eyes, recalling how her younger brother would always step forward to shield her, unwavering and prepared to face any danger. With gentle hands, Ruby drew his head close to her chest and softly promised that she would wait for her brother's return. This became their new cherished promise, weaving an even stronger bond between them than before. Determination filled him as he set out to overcome every obstacle, honor his sister's faith in him, and catch up to her at any cost, proving to himself and the world that he could truly become a hero. Helio clicked his tongue in annoyance, casting a disapproving glance at the boy's book. Meanwhile, the boy watched the departing carriage with sorrowful eyes, silently bidding farewell to his beloved relative. A heavy sadness settled over Ratsusu after his failure. He realized he had not managed to fulfill the first promise he made to his sister, to become a true adventurer by her side. In that moment, a new resolve took root in his heart. He vowed to overcome every obstacle that lay ahead and to achieve success, no matter what challenges awaited him. Despite being left with the weakest artifact of all, a battered, rusted saber that only served to highlight his vulnerability and frailty, he remained unbroken and refused to surrender. With his sword raised high above his head, the young man declared in a loud, unwavering voice that he would one day become more than just an adventurer, aspiring to stand among the greatest heroes and legendary warriors the world had ever known. The sister realized her brother bore little resemblance to the fearless heroes from storybooks. Instead, vulnerability and sensitivity softened his features, and he never hesitated to let tears show. Lacking any legendary artifact to amplify his strength, he remained, in her eyes, the one and only hero, unmatched and unforgettable. At the forefront of a courageous band of travelers, Peludia led the charge as they plunged into battle against a towering and merciless beast. With unwavering confidence, they unsheathed their sharp swords, poised and ready to repel any advancing enemy. The monstrous creature advanced relentlessly toward the team, baring its razor-sharp fangs and claws, while emitting a menacing growl. The girls gathered around anxious Ruby, their voices gentle and warm, assuring her that their enemy was not nearly as fearsome as she believed. In truth, he was small and well within the abilities of any one of them to handle. Paludi confidently explained that truly powerful monsters rarely appear near villages, preferring instead to dwell far from human settlements. Gripping the hilt of her sword with white-knuckled intensity, the girl struggled to calm herself, her body trembling with barely contained anxiety. Terror froze her in place. Shallow breaths came quickly as her heart pounded thunderously, threatening to burst from her chest. Noticing the recruit's distress, the squad commander addressed her directly. The hero emphasized that a true hero must never fear monsters like these. Ruby lowered her gaze, her voice barely more than a whisper as she admitted her embarrassment over her inexperience and her fear of falling into the enemy's traps. The new recruit shared that she used to come here often to play with the village children. This place holds cherished memories for her, filling her with a gentle, almost bittersweet sense of nostalgia. With genuine concern, the woman asked if the girl felt worried about her younger brother, who had stayed behind at home. Ruby replied, "Not quite," though her eyes revealed far more than her words ever could. A faint, uncertain smile touched her lips, as if she herself was still searching for the truth in her feelings. One of the adventurers in the group remarked that there were no fearsome monsters in this forest and wondered how children might play here. Another girl responded, explaining that she had always been protected. Curiosity sparked once more as she wondered about the identity of her mysterious protector. With a confident smile, Ruby declared with pride that he was a true hero. While sweeping the yard, the sister glanced over at her younger brother and asked what he was up to. Ratsu announced that from this day forward, he would assist his sister on the farm. Having spent his earlier years under the watchful eye of their strict mother, he now felt ready to prove himself and embrace real work. The young woman held out his old, rusted sword, gently reminding him of something he had left behind. Curiosity sparked in her voice as she asked if he aspired to become an adventurer. Though uncertainty lingered in his eyes, he eventually agreed. Ruby noticed that after choosing the life of an adventurer, farming no longer fit into his busy days. His sister made him promise just one crucial thing. Should danger arise, he must run without a moment's hesitation. Walking along the forest path, Ratsu realized just how much he owed to his mother and Ruby. As he moved forward, his eyes caught fresh carriage tracks left by a band of adventurers. With unwavering resolve, the young man believed he would one day become an adventurer, regardless of how much further his older sister might rise. Lost in memories of childhood adventures, the young man suddenly became aware of a strange sound nearby. From the dense thicket of bushes, a narrow path unexpectedly emerged, winding ominously into the distance. Suddenly, an ancient oak tree of immense size stood behind, as if it had sprung from nowhere. Glancing over his shoulder, the young man spotted an anxious figure standing before him and realized he hadn't even noticed when this person had silently approached. In an instant, the ancient giant wrapped its powerful roots around the boy's leg. Ratsu struggled to break free from the embrace, but his efforts were in vain. The towering tree simply hurled him aside with a swift, brutal swing of its powerful roots. Pain jolted through him, sharply awakening a realization that this was no mere threat, but genuine danger. Meanwhile, the monstrous creature continued to fill the air with its chilling, guttural noises. Gripping the hilt of his sword with unwavering resolve, the young man surged forward, his promise to catch up with his sister burning in his mind. Covered in scratches and utterly exhausted, he made his way back to the village. His sister fixed him with a stern gaze and demanded to know if he had escaped as they had agreed. With unwavering confidence, the boy replied that he had done exactly as planned. The following morning, undeterred by everything that had happened, the young man set out once more to face the same formidable monster in battle. The young warrior delivered a powerful strike with his sword, driving it deep into the ancient treant's roots with all his strength and unwavering resolve. Yet fortune slipped through his fingers once more. The sword, duller than he expected, was hardly more effective than a simple wooden stick, and this realization stirred a deep frustration within the boy. On the third day, the boy returned once more to challenge the wooden monster. Observers passing by glanced at him with curiosity, puzzled by his determination to face what seemed like a pointless obstacle every single day. The fourth day arrived. Yet the spirited contest between the young hero and the stubborn wooden beast burned with unwavering intensity. The fifth day arrived, yet little had changed. Every effort and ounce of strength from the young fighter managed only to hold the enemy at bay, yielding nothing more than minor gains. 3 years have slipped by since then. One afternoon, 2 young women chatted cheerfully by the roadside. Curiosity sparkled in the eyes of one, as she wondered aloud why her friend had not yet left their hometown in search of a better life. With a thoughtful expression, the other admitted she had been considering looking for a suitable job. With a note of sympathy, the first speaker remarked that the capital surely offered plenty of intriguing job opportunities. Their conversation was cut short as the root of an ancient tree nearby unexpectedly stirred, drawing their attention. Terror seized them, leaving their faces pale and their movements frozen. A towering treant materialized before the girls, its stance brimming with menace, ready to attack. In that tense moment, Ratsu appeared at their side, stepping forward with unwavering courage to shield them, poised to face the impending battle. With swift precision, the young man delivered a powerful blow that left the massive tree deeply wounded. The young man explained that the monster had come close to the village, But now the danger had passed and no one had been harmed. The first girl reacted in an instant, swiftly drawing her bow and pulling back the string before releasing an arrow that struck the tree with unerring precision. Genuine delight sparkled in the eyes of the other girl as she celebrated her friend's victory over the monster. With a cheerful spirit, she turned to the boy, inquiring whether he had been hurt and expressing heartfelt gratitude for his support. 3 long years had slipped by since Ruby left her hometown. Back then, only one thought occupied Naratsu's mind. How close had he come to reaching his dream of catching up to his sister? 3 years of relentless training had brought him only to the 10th level. Overcome with despair and self-doubt, thoughts began to haunt him, wondering if he truly lacked any talent for this at all. Lost in thoughts about his own self-doubt and the sense that he lagged behind his sister, the young man's gaze wandered and came to rest on 2 boys. They were busy collecting firewood, stacking it into neat bundles and offering it for sale to the villagers. One of the brothers, his voice laced with irony, asked Tatsu why he had trained so relentlessly for 3 whole years when it was obvious to everyone that his efforts were completely in vain. The boy recalled his sister's advice. Her words promised she would patiently await his return. The young man, worn out from endlessly sitting on the cold ground and weighed down by heavy thoughts of how far his sister had gone and how impossible it now seemed to catch up, eventually drifted into sleep. Jolted awake, the young man spotted the child in peril and sprang into action, rushing to offer help without a moment's hesitation. Anxious thoughts filled his mind as he worried whether the child had lost their way in this unfamiliar place. Suddenly, a petite and delicate girl appeared before him, bearing a striking resemblance to a young Ruby. Fear made her tremble as she faced the threats lurking in the forest. That childhood memory burned vividly in his mind. The day his sister vanished into the forest and narrowly escaped falling prey to its monstrous creatures. The boy realized he had to step in and help. Suddenly, a tiny version of Rats appeared, charging fearlessly straight at the enemy. Her commanding voice rang out, ordering the monsters to back away from the girl. The strength in her words unsettled the creatures, filling them with fear and uncertainty. In an instant, young Ratsu grabbed his sister's hand and pulled her away from danger. The young man realized he was witnessing memories from his own childhood. Nearby, his younger self gently comforted a crying girl, assuring her that the worst had passed and the monsters would never return. The child gently asked little Ruby not to cry, only to hear her insist that tears were never her intention. Watching his childhood self bravely shield his sister, the young man finally grasped the truth. It was an ordinary wooden stick that had saved them back then. With unwavering confidence, the little girl met his gaze and declared that one day he would become a true and remarkable hero. With joy shining in her eyes, she mentioned how eagerly she awaited the special day, prepared to wait as long as it would take. Upon waking, he realized that everything that had happened was nothing more than a vivid dream. With the sword now in his grasp, Ratsu promised his sister she should wait for him, for he would surely catch up to her. As soon as the young man stood up, the sound of an anxious cry reached his ears, making him wonder if he was still lost in a dream. Before long, the young man became certain that everything unfolding around him was real, and he knew immediate action was necessary. Spotting a little girl nearby, he hurried over and anxiously asked if she was all right. The young man froze in his tracks as a fearsome creature loomed before him. Uncertainty clouded his mind, for he had no idea how to overcome such a powerful being or why this monster had appeared in this very place. Among all creatures, demons stand out for their extraordinary intellect, on par with humans who have been graced by the gods with sacred artifacts. Beyond their keen minds, demons possess unique items infused with the power of dark deities. These creatures are sworn enemies of humankind. 2 familiar boys stood side by side, their gaze locked with disbelief as they contemplated the presence of such a formidable being in this place. Realizing the danger, the brothers sprang to their feet and bolted away without a moment's hesitation. Ratsu struggled in vain to slow them down and make his intentions clear, yet not a single person spared him a moment. Everyone remained utterly convinced that hiding as quickly as possible was their only chance. Outraged, the young man turned to face them and demanded to know how they could abandon a girl to be devoured by a monster while saving themselves. The first man insisted that resistance would be pointless since their enemy was a true demon. Meanwhile, the second quickly suggested they alert the village guards at once, convinced that calling for help was their most urgent priority. The first explained that every victory over a human grants a demon new strength, fueling its growth and development. In much the same way, people themselves become stronger with each triumph they achieve. Defeating all of them would hardly trouble this monster. It could dispatch them in mere minutes. Ratsu pointed out with irritation that if the girl had waited for the guards to arrive, the demon would have already taken her. The young man possessed a unique weapon, and it was this weapon that allowed him to challenge a creature so dangerous even in an uneven fight. Yet a hint of uncertainty crept into his voice as he mentioned that the artifact he carried was merely a lower-class D relic, which significantly diminished his odds of emerging victorious in battle. The first declared that the discovered item was utterly useless for any real confrontation, while the second insisted that failing to warn the guards in time could endanger the entire settlement. After a brief argument, both vanished from sight without a trace. Armed and alert, the young man concealed himself deep within the dense forest undergrowth, watching every movement of the formidable enemy from afar. A tiny girl quivered in terror, every bone in her body certain that the end was near. With a sense of dread tightening in his chest, the shocked young man watched as the tragedy unfolded right before him. Meanwhile, the monster scoffed, belittling the idea of gaining even the slightest boost from such an insignificant opponent. For him, it was nothing more than a game. He then coldly announced that the moment to die had arrived. Without a moment's hesitation, the courageous young man burst out of his hiding place and commanded the demon in a firm voice to leave the child immediately. The creature turned slowly, its movements deliberate as it tries to decipher the strange words drifting through the trees. The hero stood his ground time and again, raising his voice in a firm demand for the girl to be left alone. A mocking smile played on the monster's lips as it requested the hero to repeat his words, pretending not to have heard them because of the hero's barely audible voice. With wild courage burning in his eyes, the young man surged forward, boldly demanding the captive girl's release. With a single sweeping motion of its massive paw, the monster effortlessly halted the clumsy blow from the teenager. Stunned to the core, the young man stood rooted to the spot, struggling to comprehend what lay before his eyes. A laugh escaped the demon as he admitted that at first he had mistaken this weapon for ordinary junk, but now he recognized the truth. He stood before a genuine sacred artifact. The discovery amused the monster so much that it burst into loud laughter. Determined to prove its superiority, the creature revealed its prized artifact. Eager to prove the strength of his sword, he stepped forward to reveal its true potential. Astonishment rooted the young man in place as an extraordinary sight unfolded before him. The demon steadied himself to deliver the final blow, sweeping his arm and unleashing a surge of destructive energy that roared outward, obliterating everything in its path. With a sly grin, the monster boldly proclaimed that this energy truly embodied the extent of his power. Grief washed over the young woman as she pleaded earnestly with those nearby, reaching out for any offer of comfort or aid. An uneasy realization dawned on Ratsu as he recognized the staggering potential of his opponent, a force reminiscent of those fearsome monsters his courageous sister bravely confronted each day. The hero fully grasped his own powerlessness in the face of pure evil and desperately searched for ways to delay the inevitable, hoping to buy precious moments until the guards could arrive. Suddenly, a mysterious creature leaped out from behind, its voice thick with menace, as it inquired where the young man's courage had disappeared. The monster yearned for the moment it could finally destroy the despised boy, eager to turn his murder into a full-blown ritual of triumph. The beast, brimming with wild strength, hurled the boy through the air, sending him soaring far from the heart of the battle. A deafening crack split the air, followed by Ratsu's piercing scream as he recoiled in unbearable pain. Realizing the weight of his role as the beast's representative, he knew this delicate girl would never offer him a blessing of true significance. The forest carried a lingering scent of people, a clear sign that human dwellings were close by. This could only mean a village lay not far from here. Resolute in its decision, the monster set out for the village, determined to collect as many blessings as possible along the way. he resolved to end the lives of every villager. The demon chose to deal first with the nearest minor enemies. Suddenly, Ratsu's piercing scream shattered the tranquility that filled the air, breaking the calm in an instant. With swift determination, the young man surged forward, gripping his weapon tightly in both hands. With resolve burning in his eyes, he surged forward, launching himself at the demon, determined to save the child no matter the cost. The creature displayed remarkable agility, countering the opponent's blow in an instant and skillfully shielding itself from the attack. The demon acknowledged the youth's strike as worthy of praise. It revealed both courage and skill. Yet the outcome of their duel had long since been decided, and the end would come very soon. A promise lingered between him and the valiant little fish that their paths would cross once more. Meanwhile, he fought fiercely, parrying every strike from the relentless, razor-sharp blade. The young warrior's sword slowly crumbled in his hands, falling apart until only a heap of fragments remained. The creature lunged at Ratsuya with sudden ferocity, hurling him aside with such force that he soared a considerable distance through the air. A young man, his body battered with bruises and stained with blood, collapsed onto the ground, gasping desperately for air. The demon, expressionless and detached, declared in a chilling voice that he would deal with the boy later. His primary target for now was the girl. Stretched out on the cold ground, the boy was filled with bitter regret and pleaded for Ruby's forgiveness, admitting he had once again failed to keep his promise to her. Guilt and shame tore his soul apart, leaving deep scars within. Two promises, both deeply significant, remained unfulfilled. The first had ended in failure. The second reason lay in the longing to catch up to the girl, a goal that proved just as unreachable. A single hopeful thought warmed the young man's heart. Perhaps this wonderful girl bore no grudge against him at all. A clear understanding settled within him. At this moment, only he possessed the strength to protect this child. The demon turned and spotted the boy, swaying unsteadily yet burning with determination to sacrifice everything for another's sake. Ratsu boldly declared his determination to defeat the enemy. Immediately after, a swift and intense exchange of blows erupted, with both fighters clashing fiercely, adrenaline and resolve driving every move. The deafening clang of two sharp blades colliding echoed all around, their furious impact reverberating through the air. Despite its apparent resilience, the boy's sword slowly began to lose its shape, breaking apart into countless tiny fragments. The colossal monster found itself puzzled by the sudden transformation of the bold youth's weapon. Frustration mingled with a rising sense of unease as it tried to comprehend how the blade could shift so unexpectedly. Ratsu's hands transformed into an S-rank cursed magic blade, bestowing astonishing bonuses. Divine Power, plus 500, Strength, plus 500, Agility, plus 500, Endurance, plus 500, Durability, plus 500, and Magic Power, plus 5,000. In addition, the wielder of this blade acquired a unique ability, the power to perform artifact synthesis. The monster froze in confusion as both the artifact and the boy suddenly transformed before its eyes. Only now did the young hero truly grasp the magnitude of this moment, as the true nature of his loyal ally, long disguised as a feeble weapon, finally revealed itself to him. This revelation illuminated the road to victory, making it clearer and closer than ever before. Energy surged through him like a wild current, reaching deep into every muscle, every nerve, and every cell of the young hero's body. A rush of strength and unshakable confidence burst forth from his chest, fueling him with the power needed for the decisive battle ahead. Without a moment's hesitation, the demon lunged forward, delivering a swift and lightning-fast blow. Despite the overwhelming force behind the attack, the boys stand their ground with unwavering confidence and skill. They absorb the giant's blow with ease, showing not a hint of strain. Enduring the unwavering, calm gaze of the young man felt deeply unpleasant for the giant creature, as if his eyes pierced straight through from head to toe. The monster demanded an honest account of everything that was known and insisted that those eyes stop gazing at him in that way. From the very beginning, Ratu had mentioned this. With lightning-fast resolve, the young man launched himself into the attack, catching the giant off guard and carving a deep wound down the length of the Colossus's enormous torso. Despite all the warnings and attempts at persuasion, the creature remained utterly bewildered by the conversation. Its massive size and wild nature only served to block any understanding of the words being spoken. Once more, the young man tried to reach the opponent's senses, stubbornly repeating the same simple plea: let the child live, and keep your distance from her. The recent events left the young man utterly baffled. Confusion clouded his thoughts as he struggled to make sense of how everything had unfolded this way. The moment the artifact revealed its true form, torrents of pure energy surged from its core. These powerful currents coursed through the owner's body, infusing every fiber with supernatural strength that far surpassed anything previously experienced. Despite the seemingly desperate situation, a firm resolve burned within the young man. Surrender was not an option. Every fiber of his being rejected the notion of defeat, compelling him to persevere and search relentlessly for a way out of his predicament. A colossal creature dominated the battlefield, looming directly behind the young man as it readied itself to deliver another devastating blow. A furious voice thundered above the battlefield, chastising the reckless youth for the madness and futility of his actions. Such reckless aggression, it warned, could only lead to one inevitable outcome: the terrible wrath of a fearsome demon. The boy struck with all his might, yet the demon dismissed the pain with a sneer, calling it nothing more than a minor scratch. The demon let out a furious roar and ordered Ratsu to disappear from his life before launching a relentless barrage of powerful blows. A torrent of crushing strikes rained down on Ratsu, each one seeking to break his resolve. Deep wounds appeared with every hit, forcing him to retreat farther and farther under the unyielding assault. The young warrior stood his ground, unfazed by fear, and relentlessly pressed on with a fresh wave of devastating attacks, pushing the demon to its absolute limits. Each precise blow made the monstrous creature emit bone-chilling screams, the agony clearly unbearable. Suddenly, the creature became engulfed in thick coils of black smoke, pierced by vivid tongues of flame. From the hero's sword, pulsing with magic, these dark bursts of fire erupted, each fueled further by the swift, powerful strikes of the young warrior. Amazed by his own abilities, the young man felt a growing confidence swelling inside him. Meanwhile, the creature recoiled in true shock as it suddenly realized that the mysterious black flame it believed long vanished had returned to this world. An abrupt surge of determination swept over Rats, compelling him to grip the ancient sword tightly. In a swift motion, his arm shot forward, driving the keen blades into the demon's most vulnerable spot, and slicing open its chest from top to bottom. Stunned by defeat, the monster struggled to comprehend how something so simple could surpass its power. As the truth became painfully clear, the demon's body flickered with a faint light, slowly dissolving and fading into the air until it vanished completely from this world. A sigh of relief escaped the young man as a wave of calm washed over him, the turmoil inside finally settling. Suddenly, gray clouds swept across the sky, and heavy raindrops began to fall, as if nature herself wished to cleanse away the tension he had just endured. Exhausted in both body and spirit, the young man collapsed onto the wet earth. The girl he had just saved from the monster hurried to his side, darting across the sodden ground. Concern flickered in her eyes as she asked if her brother was feeling all right. Gradually, Ratsubigan regains consciousness. Awakening in an instant, the young man found himself back in his own bed at home, surrounded by familiar comfort. With a note of concern in her voice, the mother entered the room and asked if her son had truly awakened. She explained that the guards had discovered him in the forest and brought him here. Lost in thought, the young man recalled the moment the guards discovered him, and the gentle, mysterious voice that softly greeted him with the word, "Brother." The young man was about to inquire about the girl's fate when his mother swiftly interrupted, eager to calm her son, assuring him that the girl was safe and well. Relief washed over the young man as his mother went on, sharing how for 3 long years she had longed to see her son alive and well once more. She spoke of her wish for him to stay safe, never again risking his life in dangerous encounters with fearsome creatures. In the past, the parents of these women struggled in poverty, barely managing to get by. Their lives began to change when they turned to farming, which eventually brought them stability and a sense of well-being. A quiet pride warmed her heart, knowing she had not stood in the way of her son's battles against those fearsome monsters. The girl he had saved thanked him, her eyes brimming with tears of joy. Pride shimmered in the woman's eyes as she admitted that each day she witnessed her son grow. Strength was no longer his only trait. Wisdom guided his choices, courage marked his actions, and kindness shaped his heart. Right before her, a true man was taking form. A powerful surge of gratitude and respect stirred the young man's heart, moving him so deeply by his mother's heartfelt words that he barely managed to hold back tears. Turning to her son, she posed an important question, eager to find out whether he planned to take the exams required to obtain official status as a professional adventurer. Ratsu accepted the necessity of taking the exam, recognizing it as the path to becoming a true adventurer. Yet the thought of leaving his childhood home troubled him. His mother relied heavily on his presence and care, making it impossible for Ratsu to simply walk away and abandon her. Drawing near with unexpected swiftness, the woman gathered her son tightly against her chest and, in a gentle voice, asked for just one truly important promise. Desperation filled her voice as she pleaded with the young man, asking him to show mercy and not to depart from this world before she did. For this reason, offering help to ordinary people, shielding them, and protecting them from every possible danger becomes essential. Tears streaming down his face, the boy made a heartfelt promise to follow his mother's advice. Overwhelmed with emotion, he confessed his pride and boundless gratitude for having such an extraordinary mother. She also set out a few conditions: visiting her twice a year, saving his earnings, watching his diet, and never going to bed with a full stomach. The young man reflexively wondered if all these requests counted as a single promise. 3 years had passed since Ruby left home. Now, the moment finally arrived for Rats to embark on his own journey. His path led to White Rondo, a city that attracted everyone longing to become true adventurers. Determined, the young man resolved to pass the exam and claim his place among the ranks of adventurers. The young man returned to his work, his thoughts now occupied with a puzzle. Why had the sword become covered in rust once more? An awkward feeling settled over him, for the boys who had fled the battlefield during that memorable duel had offered him a scabbard as an apology. The gift, so unexpected and unique, left him both touched and uneasy. Determined to uncover the secret power within his enchanted sword, Ratsu focused all his attention on the mysterious ability known as evolution. This enigmatic force held the promise of dramatically shifting the tide of battle and unlocking previously unseen potential in his blade. Awakening the potential for evolution begins with unveiling the true essence of the sacred artifact concealed within the blade. Only then does the special power become accessible, a force that kindles the warrior's spirit. In that moment of utter despair, the young man understood that true fighting spirit emerges only when one stands on the brink, battling relentlessly against a formidable demon. In his heart, the young man often made a silent promise to himself. He would one day become a true adventurer and a heroic protector, always ready to stand up for his mother and his beloved sister Ruby. These very thoughts fueled his determination, driving him forward and giving him the strength to overcome every obstacle on the path to his cherished dream. Suddenly, his sword transformed, adopting an entirely new shape. The blade appeared more terrifying than ever, yet carried an unmistakable air of grandeur. A sudden realization struck Ratsu. By activating his skill in a certain way, he could alter the blade's shape at will. The discovery filled him with newfound confidence, for now he understood that the sword's power responded not just in moments of danger, but also to his deliberate command, allowing him to guide its strength wherever he chose. The young man studied the altered sword intently, quietly noting its striking resemblance to an ancient demon artifact. Though his voice remained calm, a flicker of surprise, weariness, and curiosity passed through his eyes. Carefully examining his new blade, he compared it to the weapon claimed from the demon he had once defeated. The resemblance astonished him. The shape of the blade, the intricate patterns etched into the hilt, and even the faint shimmer both swords emitted appeared nearly identical. The guard who rushed to assist the young man brought both swords with him, unable to determine which one belonged to the hero. A brief moment of confusion followed until the young man identified and claimed his own blade. The young man discovered an unexpected gift, an ability to perceive the attributes of various artifacts. Putting his new skill to use, he carefully examined the weapon claimed from the defeated monster. The blade revealed itself as the great sword of Black Flame, ranked impressively high at grade B. Unwilling to risk leaving the discovered sword at home, the young man chose to take it with him. Still, he recognized that wielding another's artifact would be unwise, for each such object possessed its own spirit and a unique bond with its master, a connection that could not simply be forged on a whim. Suddenly, the sword slipped free from his grasp and soared into the air with the swiftness of a living creature, as though yearning to break away from the confines of the earth. Soon after, the second sword followed the lead of the first, rising into the air as well. The young man watched in complete astonishment, unable to comprehend what had triggered such an unexpected display from both artifacts. Stunned by the unfolding events, he struggled to grasp the cause behind this extraordinary occurrence. Genuine surprise swept over him as the defeated demon's blade slowly dissolved, merging seamlessly with his own weapon. The astonishing sight caught the young man off guard, leaving him awash with confusion and a rising sense of unease. With a sudden, sharp motion, the sword plunged into the ground, leaving its young owner utterly bewildered. Complete confusion clouded his mind as he struggled to grasp what had just occurred and why his weapon was acting so strangely. With utmost care, the young man lifted his cursed S-rank magic blade, immediately sensing a subtle shift within it. The sword had transformed, radiating an unfamiliar aura that drew every gaze to its striking new appearance. Genuine astonishment swept over him as he noticed a new skill listed among his sword's attributes: Black Flame. This newfound ability, inherited from the defeated demon, brought with it 2 additional powers. The blade now wielded magic and could be fused with holy artifacts, greatly expanding its combat prowess. The young man found himself astonished by the emergence of a new skill, its hidden power within the art of synthesis completely unknown to him. Curiosity took hold, driving a strong desire to investigate this phenomenon further and to truly understand the potential of his unique weapon. The power of artifact synthesis allows one to forge a sacred artifact by using the blessing of an evil god as a strengthening component. Once the magic of synthesized artifacts is acquired, it becomes usable, limited only to sacred treasures that have not yet been claimed or imbued. The young man truly believed that synthesis was an extraordinary skill. After all, the demon he had recently defeated wielded the formidable power of Black Flame magic. Now, having managed to fuse this very magic with his personal artifact, he had not only enhanced his own abilities, but also unlocked the potential for a completely new form of attack. That sword, categorized at a modest 500 units, held an unexpected allure. It radiated the aura of a rare treasure, the kind of artifact that whispers of hidden powers and advantages far surpassing typical weapons of its class. Amidst the dense undergrowth, the familiar roots of the old tree appeared, their gnarled strength rising quietly from the earth. Soon it became clear that the traveler was not facing an ordinary tree, but an entire army of towering living beings, Ents, who emerged to confront him. Their massive trunks swayed with a menacing rhythm as the creatures let out deep, haunting cries that echoed through the air. The young man reacted instantly, pushing off the ground with his feet and leaping backward to dodge the sudden threat. With deft movements, he dodged his enemy's assault and seized his trusted blade, steadying himself to dive into the fray and guard against the lurking dangers that shadowed each step. With genuine reverence, the young man addressed his sword, humbly asking it to grant him the knowledge of Black Flame. With unwavering resolve, he unleashes a torrent of energy directly at the advancing enemies, determined to halt their assault and buy himself a precious moment to reposition. A surge of dark energy erupted across the swarm of hostile trees, instantly igniting them and turning their sturdy trunks into pillars of fire. The enchanted blaze swept over everything in its path, leaving behind a scorched wasteland and scattering the raging army of trees. Blinding flashes of light tore the ancient treants' bodies apart, one after another, while their anguished cries echoed relentlessly through the entire forest. Relief washed over the young man as genuine joy lit up his face. Confidence bloomed within him, certain now that the Black Flame's magic truly worked and would remain at his call whenever he needed it. Just as joy filled his heart, a sudden sharp blow shot through his body, stealing away all happiness and hurling him into a whirlpool of pain and anxiety. Clutching his head with trembling hands, he battled waves of unbearable pain and bewilderment over everything unfolding around him. A splitting ache tore through his skull, his mind growing hazy, while nearby, the eerie screech of twisting wood echoed in the air. An excruciating pain pierced through his head, growing more unbearable by the moment. Determined to uncover the source of his torment, Razu glanced at his sword and wondered if his suffering was somehow connected to the recent changes in his weapon. In an instant, the young man realized a grim truth. The source of his unbearable headache was a curse, woven by someone into his priceless weapon. Without warning, the tree sprang to life and moved toward the boy, its sturdy wooden branches reaching out as if eager to imprison him in a relentless embrace. The young man writhed on the ground, overwhelmed by excruciating pain, and realized with dread that escaping a fatal blow was now impossible. Strength seeped away from his body, and with it faded his last flicker of hope, leaving his mind clouded and dim. A stern voice suddenly commanded him to stay still. At that very moment, the wind whipped up a thick cloud of dust, scattering it across the entire area. A girl stood before him, wielding a massive shield. Concern flickered in her eyes as she asked if he was all right. Struggling to gather his thoughts, the boy managed to whisper in a faint, trembling voice, asking who had come to his rescue. Emerging from the shadowy depths of the forest and stepping onto the cobblestone streets of White Rondo, the young man instantly sensed that everything matched his vision of a city for future adventurers. The streets buzzed with people, markets brimmed with endless chatter, and the air carried the promise of adventure and hopes for great achievements. Upon setting eyes on the Adventurers Guild Hall, its immense size immediately stood out. The sheer scale of the building left a lasting impression, radiating an unmistakable sense of grandeur. Here begins his journey as a true adventurer. Trials await, along with new discoveries and thrilling experiences destined to forever alter his fate. Wasting no time, he pushed open the heavy wooden doors and stepped boldly into the guild hall, ready to face whatever his future might bring. A massive crowd stretched before his eyes, buzzing with excitement and anticipation for new adventures. Suddenly, it dawned on the young man that everyone gathered in this place was a participant in the adventurer's exam. Realizing this left him stunned, as the number of candidates far exceeded what he had ever imagined. Rumors often circulated about this exam. Passing it was said to be nearly impossible, with success rates always below 1%. Failure meant a long, agonizing wait of 6 months before another chance appeared, turning patience into the greatest challenge for anyone hoping to become an adventurer. Despite countless challenges, the young man held firm to his belief in his own strength. Determined to overcome every obstacle before him, he set his sights on earning a place among the adventurers' brotherhood and embarking on a true adventurer's path. With great conviction, he declared his intention to become an adventurer just like his sister Ruby. Yet, as those words left his lips, a memory surfaced. The image of the girl who had rescued him, her gentle concern evident as she inquired about his well-being after the monster attack in the forest. Her words carried such conviction that the boy instantly realized it was wiser to trust her in this perilous moment and make a swift escape. A thoughtful expression crossed the boy's face as he pondered the girl's identity. Perhaps she was a seasoned adventurer, risking her own life without hesitation to save a stranger in need. The memory resurfaced of his awe while examining her enormous shield, a masterpiece of exceptional strength, reminiscent of a rare antique, clearly surpassing ordinary protective gear in every aspect. Fortunately, the headache faded as suddenly as it had come, and with it, lost energy returned. Strength surged back, rekindling the familiar spark within and preparing him to move forward once more. Ratsu observed as his old rusty saber reverted to its familiar appearance, erasing every trace of its recent transformation and blending back into its former unremarkable state. The suspicion lingered in his mind that the cursed magic sword might truly embody the very essence of this enigmatic artifact. Gripping his trusted sword, the young man strode forward with determination, prepared at last to prove his worth in an honorable battle. Незнайомка намагалася зупинити хлопця,
бо не вірила, що він зможе протистояти небезпеці, маючи лише старий і ржавий меч. Вона хотіла вберегти його від марної спроби, адже вже вважала його старання приреченими на поразку.
In a single swift movement, the boy sliced the colossal Trenton in half, leaving the girl utterly stunned. Disbelief flashed in her eyes as the once ordinary rusty sword in his hand transformed into an object of terrifying power, an ominous artifact whose true nature eluded her understanding. The girl asked with genuine concern if the boy was all right. Grateful for her timely help, the boy assured her that he was fine and offered heartfelt thanks for saving him when he needed it most. Ratsu admitted that wielding his unique artifact drained him immensely. The adventurer recalled how, at a crucial moment, the boy seemed to soar upward, his very appearance and power transforming for an instant into something unfamiliar and extraordinary. Suddenly recalling that he had yet to introduce himself, the young man spoke up a bit awkwardly and shared his name. Rats. Sutan. After a brief moment of hesitation, the girl answered confidently. Her name was Daya Karatsu, she said, a faint blush coloring her cheeks at her own unexpected candor. She mentioned that she needed to leave and asked what the young man would do next. The young man replied that he planned to take some time to rest and recover from all the hardships he had gone through. The moment of farewell arrived, and the protagonist offered a gentle smile, holding close to her heart the memory of a meeting that had gifted everyone valuable lessons in friendship and mutual support. After bidding farewell to the girl, a sudden realization dawned on the young man. Throughout his life, someone had quietly been there to support him. Yet this equilibrium endured only until today. From this moment on, the young man vowed to become a steadfast shield for everyone he cherished, dedicating his life to justice and the protection of those who could not defend themselves. Over time, it became clear to him that many people around possessed unique artifacts, and he gradually learned to recognize them at a glance, instinctively sensing the nature and abilities of each item. Suddenly, an indignant voice rose from the crowd, expressing frustration at the rudeness and carelessness of those around who disturbed the peace. Among the visitors to the guild, a small girl emerged, lost in the sea of bustling people. The crowd eyed her with curiosity, puzzled as to how such a young child had wandered into such a perilous and complicated place. Taking the stage, the young girl announced in a clear voice that her name was Janet Shamu, and she would serve as the examiner. Despite her youthful appearance, she made it clear she had already undergone the blessing ceremony, affirming both her age and her right to hold an adult position. A man in the crowd voiced his indignation, insisting it was sheer nonsense for a woman to serve as a child's examiner. Janet announced that today's trial would take place in the treacherous Nanoshiki forest. The candidates were tasked with locating a unique doll she had carefully crafted for the purpose of this competition. The participants quickly picked up on their task. It was to locate an ordinary toy doll. Yet most of them considered the challenge almost childishly simple and began to doubt whether the test deserved to be taken seriously. The examiners made it clear that the forest teemed with cunning creatures called kobolds, notorious for their relentless desire to steal anything humans possess. With that in mind, she reasoned that the dolls they were searching for had most likely fallen into the hands of these greedy little thieves long ago. The realization struck Rats that the exam site would be a truly perilous area teeming with monsters. It became clear that passing this test would demand more than just gathering items. He would have to prove his combat prowess as well. What once seemed simple suddenly took on a new weight, revealing that the adventurer's exam would be a formidable ordeal. The young woman mentioned that, aside from the kobolds, the forest housed other dangerous creatures, making each participant responsible for their own safety. She also warned the group that there was a limited number of dolls to be found. Understanding dawned on the young man. The exam would soon turn into a fierce contest among all the participants. Awaiting them was a challenging struggle for rare dolls, rife with rivalry and a powerful sense of competition, the very foundation of the event. Victory would belong to the one who showed the strongest leadership and the greatest survival skills. Janet offered a warning, explaining that killing rivals counted as a serious crime, yet the young man understood he would inevitably have to confront the renegades. Pondering her words, he tried to picture just how brutal and unpredictable those encounters might become. Renegades are those who once abused the power of their artifacts and turned to the dark side of the law. Now, the exam participants must do more than simply face the trial of seeking. They also need to brace themselves for confrontations with these dangerous foes. The girl continued her explanation, emphasizing that participants had the option to join forces. Aspiring adventurers could form teams and tackle the trials side by side. However, each group needed to collect a number of dolls equal to the number of people in their team. Doubt clouded Ratsu's mind as he wondered if he would ever find a worthy partner to share his journey. Aspirants for the title of adventurer brought with them a broad mix of perspectives, varying levels of experience and personal ambitions that often conflicted. Jeanette concluded the briefing, his tone making it clear that only 2 hours were allotted to complete the task. As soon as this period ended, the official inspection process would begin. One boy, his eyes lighting up as he spotted an impressive artifact in another's possession, suggested they join forces. Banding together, he reasoned, would make tackling challenges much easier. Their hands clasped in a firm handshake, the two solemnly vowed to face every obstacle together and to see this difficult trial through to the end. Ratsu fell silent, pondering whether anyone would ever agree to partner with him, since every time his sword was activated, it instantly transformed into something eerie, taking on the chilling appearance of a demonic artifact. A sudden, piercing cry shattered the silence, instantly putting him on high alert and drawing his focus toward that direction. Her plea rang out, directed at Dea, the familiar girl who passionately begged to be accepted into their group. Instinctively, the boy understood. She must also be competing, and was seeking the strength of allies to boost her chances of winning. The girl endured a torrent of biting remarks from another participant, who genuinely could not comprehend why she was expected to form a team with someone so clumsy and obviously unhelpful in their shared task. Witnessing Dayu's humiliation stirred memories of Ratsu's own childhood, when people repeatedly dismissed his dreams of becoming a hero or an adventurer, always doubting his abilities and determination. This recollection deepened his empathy for the girl facing the hostile crowd. The girl critic continued her barrage of reproaches, insisting that true adventurers slay demons, while all her companion possessed was an artifact shield incapable of stopping even a single demon. With a mocking tone, she questioned whether the other truly believed she could become a genuine adventurer armed with such a mediocre weapon. Tension rippled through the boy as he clenched his fists, fighting back his anger. The relentless challenger would not let up, insisting that passing the exam meant defeating monsters, and eyed Dea with suspicion, questioning if he could even claim a single toy doll in a genuine contest. With a sneer, she remarked that if the other candidates had no desire to speak with her, it would be foolish to expect their support simply because they all came from the same village. A quiet protest formed on her lips, but she tried to argue nonetheless. Overwhelmed by emotion, the girl's composure shattered as her voice rose, and her hand shot up, poised to strike Dai. But in that instant, Razu swept in and caught her wrist with a swift movement, putting an abrupt end to the potential conflict. His hand caught hers, drawing her gaze where resentment simmered. A storm of irritation and hostility toward the young man etched across her face. Sparks of outrage flashed in her eyes, and her tightly pressed lips betrayed the fierce struggle of emotions raging within. A young man stepped forward with determination, declaring that such behavior had crossed every boundary of decency. The aggressor, startled by this unexpected defender, shot him an angry glare and demanded to know who he was. Daya's face lit up with joy as she recognized her friend, while the suspicious girl instantly realized the two shared a close bond. Uncomfortable with the arrival of another person, she turned to the boy with a sharp tone, demanding to know why he was there. A gentle look crossed the young man's face as he invited his beloved to join his team. Anger simmered within the criminal as the proposal reached her ears, striking her as utterly senseless and foolish. Discontent twisted her features, while her voice quivered with indignation, as though chastising the boy for his lack of reason and seriousness. With calm assurance, Ratsu explained that he had noticed the perfect harmony between their talents and abilities, inviting his friend to join him. As he mentioned how glad he was to see his savior again, genuine surprise and irritation flashed across the face of the girl's tormentor. The boys from the neighboring team remarked with mockery that she had apparently chosen to team up with someone who couldn't defeat even the weakest monster. They went on to say that the boy's artifact was in such poor condition, it was covered in rust. According to Janet, this year's group of children stands out with remarkable gifts and promising talents, hinting at a bright future ahead. Among them are a few exceptionally gifted individuals, as well as some whose potential might come with a measure of risk. For those students with a tendency toward dangerous behavior, the organization has already arranged support to guide them. 30 minutes had already slipped by since the exam began. The boys observed an unusual calmness settle over the forest. Sunlight danced across the leaves, spreading a rainbow of 7 colors with the brilliance of precious gems. If not for the monsters that ruled these woods, this forest would likely have become a cherished destination for travelers. Thoughts of an easy journey filled Ratsu's mind, imagining a path free from monsters, yet trouble seemed inevitable. The group needed to find the kobolds as quickly as possible. A thoughtful expression crossed the young man's face as he wondered if the girl felt uneasy working alongside him, perhaps lacking confidence or simply feeling out of place. Meanwhile, she struggled to speak, her shyness holding her back and leaving her words trapped, unable to clearly express what was in her heart. With a trace of hesitation, Dea asked what he truly meant when he said they were a perfect match. Her voice carried a subtle anxiety that revealed her nervous anticipation. The boy noticed the confused look in his girlfriend's eyes and realized she had misunderstood his words, mistaking his friendly support for a hint of romantic feelings. The young man spoke earnestly, carefully outlining how perfectly they matched, emphasizing the way their strengths complemented one another. Suddenly, the girl cut him off mid-sentence with a sharp cry, warning him of a massive monster looming nearby. With swift precision, a sturdy shield was raised to cover Rats, offering him reliable protection against any incoming enemy strikes. With unwavering focus, the young man prepared for battle, drawing his trusty saber and summoning every ounce of skill and determination to face his foe with honor. After defeating yet another monster, the young man came to a simple realization. The girl always stood behind him, guarding his back, and it was thanks to her that he could fully focus on the fight and overcome his enemies. Their partnership created a perfect synergy, allowing them to act with maximum efficiency and overcome any danger. Frequent use of the cursed sword, he explained, brings on a searing pain in the head, making it impossible for the boy to hold the weapon for more than half an hour at a time. Pushing past the limit carries a high risk of losing one's sanity. With his girlfriend shielded by a reliable defense, the young man found himself able to fight freely, his mind focused solely on victory. Dea gazed at him in surprise, asking whether he honestly believed she could protect him. Life had cast her in the role of a victim for as long as she could remember. Tears often welled up in her eyes, and mockery from her peers became a daily occurrence. Because of this, most of the boys refused to let her join their team, convinced that she contributed nothing to group competitions for weeks on end. As he drew nearer, the young man remarked that although her artifact lacked power in battle, her kind heart and genuine desire to help others made her a remarkable and valuable person. His friend listened in surprise, not having expected her actions to be seen in such a light. The young man concluded his speech by saying that this is why she possesses true strength, a quality that allows her to overcome any challenge on the road to success, regardless of the obstacles around her. Without warning, the stern lady unleashed a powerful Shiden spell and shifted her gaze to the rival team. Her attack came swift and fierce, transforming the match into an all-out struggle where the line between playful competition and open conflict blurred almost completely. The fierce girl turned out to be Mesti, the very one who had once publicly humiliated Dayu by claiming she was fit for nothing more than the role of a useless team member. This time, however, Mesti resolved to put an end to their rivalry once and for all. Casting a swift, calculating glance over the scene, the young man asked the girls in a steady voice about their plan of action and the strategy they intended to use for their next moves in this conflict. Mesti confidently confirmed that the rules allowed them to challenge traitors for their puppets. As soon as the young man pointed out that their team didn't have any puppets, The rival leader offered a smug smile and gestured back over his shoulder. Behind the boys, a fearsome monster closed in with alarming speed, poised to strike at any moment. The mounting danger compelled the young warriors to brace themselves, their senses sharpened as they prepared for the inevitable clash. Diak swiftly raised her sturdy shield, forming a solid barrier that protected everyone from the blow. The young man immediately recognized their assailant as a kobold, the main adversary they faced at this stage of the trial. The young woman fought desperately to hold her ground, parrying the relentless blows from the furious beast. Again and again it charged at her, a creature consumed by rage and hatred. Each strike made her shield quiver under the force, and with every passing moment, it seemed as though the battered barrier might soon give way. The young man watched the unfolding events with keen attention, suddenly catching sight of a crucial detail. Turning to his partner, he pointed out that Cobalt possessed one of the dolls they needed. A mist of superiority settled on Amisti's face as she declared that the participants were merely after the doll everyone was searching for. With a wry twist to her lips, she dismissed her rivals as nothing more than common thieves, eager to profit from the hard work of others. With composed resolve, she accepted that fate had taken a different turn. Without hesitation, a firm order was given to her assistants, Spinel and Lays, to launch an immediate attack on the enemy, her confidence in a swift victory unwavering. The young man quickly realized that everything unfolding around them was a carefully crafted trap, set by their rivals. Their opponents had orchestrated this scene on purpose, hoping to draw them into an unnecessary conflict and eliminate them from the race for the top spots. Spinel and Lazu demanded possession of two rare magical techniques, the fire sickle and the ice sickle. Their desire ignited a heated dispute, setting the stage for both sides to turn against each other. Dia slammed her fist against the shield, sending a dull metallic clang echoing through the air and ringing in her ears. Muscles tensed, she summoned every ounce of strength to endure the relentless assault. The rivals stared at each other in astonishment, unable to comprehend how the shield had withstood the blow and remained unscathed. Meanwhile, her teammate approached with concern, asking if she was all right, and she assured him that she was fine. The kobold launched into a frenzy, attacking with wild fury, but the young man reacted swiftly, drawing his sword in an instant. With unwavering resolve in his eyes, he declared that harm would come no further. The promise left his lips. He would fight with his own strength and defend his companion to the very end. With magical precision, MST unleashed the Shiden spell, sending a surge of raw power directly at her opponents. Her intention was clear: end the battle swiftly and assert her undeniable dominance. Once again, Theo stepped forward to defend her. The assailant, wearing a sly grin, remarked that such a response was only to be expected. Yet he continued, pointing out that as long as one merely shielded oneself and sidestepped confrontations without ever making bold moves, true victory would always remain out of reach. Concern flickered in one friend's voice as he asked about his girlfriend's condition when her symptoms returned. With calm assurance, she soothed his worries, explaining that her artifact was functioning perfectly and remained reliable for any challenges ahead. The rival grew increasingly irritated as their team, unable to defeat the monster on their own, continued to assure everyone that they had everything under control. Yet their collaboration genuinely began to stand out as a striking example of true synergy. With a hint of irony, Amethyst remarked how ridiculous it sounded to dream of becoming an adventurer armed with nothing more than an ordinary shield and a rusty sword. She urged her opponents to save their strength for something worthwhile and not waste time trying to convince her, insisting they spare her from laughter. Without warning, Cobalt spun around and charged straight at the girl. Her companions shouted, hoping to warn her and urging caution, yet she stood her ground, unfazed. Calmly, she asked the monster to return the stolen doll and leave them in peace. The sword of Ratsu unexpectedly started to revert to its original form, taking on the attributes of a mystical weapon. At that moment, sensing danger, the opposing team's leader instructed Spinel and Laz to turn around and carefully scan the area behind them. With effortless skill and agility, the young man dispatched the cobalt creature, leaving the watching girls genuinely surprised and thoroughly impressed. Panic seized Mesty as she cried out that her companion's artifacts were both ranked at level C. Bewilderment tightened around her as she tried to comprehend how this boy had managed to defeat two formidable opponents without suffering a single scratch. Lost in confusion, her mind raced desperately in search of an answer to the mystery of the fearless newcomer who had so abruptly turned the tide of battle. With a calm and steady tone, Ratsu reminded everyone that he, too, sought the title of adventurer, just like Amesti and Daya. He also pointed out that if their opponents had held his friend's shield, they would have managed to block his strike and escape defeat. Eager to build on the spirit of teamwork, the young man suggested that by joining forces with his companion, they could provide strong protection for the team against any enemy attacks. The leader, however, swiftly cut him off and firmly asked him to remain silent. At last, he paused, shifting his focus away from his own concerns. Instead of justifying his actions by claiming there was no reliable information, he allowed himself to consider a broader perspective. The young man warmly offered to repair the girl's broken artifacts in the church and promised to take them to the city afterward. Such an unexpected offer sparked genuine surprise and suspicion in the former rivals, unused as they were to kindness after so many harsh battles and constant schemes. The young man insisted, albeit nervously, that even though it had been an official exam, he still felt uneasy knowing the artifacts had been damaged because of him. Despite his concerns, the MST representative dismissed his offer. The three girls ventured deeper into the forest, putting more distance between themselves and the heroes with each step. Suddenly, Dea raises her voice, calling out to the disheveled girl, but the girl gives no sign of hearing and marches steadily ahead. Ratsue steps away from the little girl and heads toward the doll. Leaning down, he carefully lifts the toy into his hands. A glance over his shoulder brings his friend Dai into view. Silently, the young man watches the doll. A spark of inspiration suddenly lights up his face. Turning to the girl, he declares with newfound enthusiasm that their new doll means she can now become an adventurer. The girl, however, remains standing with her back to him, offering no response. Suddenly, Ritsu notices Daio overcome by bitter despair as tears stream down her cheeks. Sadness clouded the girl's eyes as she confessed to the man that returning to how things once were was no longer possible. For a few silent seconds, he studied her face, then softly asked what had happened to her. Dia watches the three girls walk away, her gaze lingering on their retreating figures. She quietly shares with the boy that once they had all been childhood friends in the same village. Memories of those days flicker in her eyes as she admits that Amesti taught her many things. The girl shares how Amesti was always by her side, offering guidance both in her studies and during training sessions. She quietly admits that, in her heart, she considered Amesti to be like a sister. The girls clustered at the back exchanged whispers of disapproval, unable to comprehend how Pankatsu could treat ancient artifacts with such disregard. Each one voiced her frustration, wishing to outshine the others in this exam, yet the girl herself seemed indifferent, ignoring their every complaint. Rage simmered within Mesti as newfound confidence surged through her. The realization that her moment had finally come filled her with determination, especially since she had uncovered a technique to run faster and mastered the ability to hold her own in battles. On top of that, Mesti firmly believed she had grasped the secrets of effective learning. The young woman realized she had poured her heart into her work, giving more effort than most. Each day, she strived to improve herself and worked diligently to connect with everyone around her. A newfound sense of peace might embrace her if she grows into a better person, freeing her from the shadow of loneliness. Extending her hand, the girl displays a bracelet, her voice brimming with pride as she reveals it to be a B-level artifact known as the Shiden bracelet. Instantly, Mestis's friends shower her with admiration, calling her the best and remarking on her possession of the finest artifact among them. Little Daya offers her heartfelt congratulations as well, unable to hide her genuine excitement over her friend's discovery. With gentle hands, the girl strokes her tiny companion, offering thanks and wishing her good fortune. Expressing her gratitude once more, she confesses that she needs to hurry on. Meanwhile, Amesti's friends join in, greeting the little partner as well. The girl responds with heartfelt appreciation, but suddenly something behind her catches her attention. The girl's voice reaches her as she asks the boy to repeat what he just said. In response, the boy admits he didn't catch everything, but thinks he heard something about an A-rank immortality shield. The mention of such a powerful artifact leaves Amestia genuinely astonished. Suddenly, her eyes catch sight of her friend on stage, holding that rare artifact. Daga attempts to explain herself, but in the end, she only manages to apologize to MST. Fixedly, the girl observes her friend, puzzled by the apologies she hears. Confusion lingers as she wonders how Daya came to possess a Class A artifact while her own remains only Class B. Doubts creep in, and uncertainty gnaws at her heart as she quietly wonders where she went wrong in life and whether all her efforts so far have been in vain. Daya gazes at her with genuine sorrow, yet the girl still fails to grasp why she should pity someone who took everything from her. Mesty emerges from her memories to the sound of her friends apologizing. Blinking in confusion, she asks what happened. The others explain that the artifacts have been destroyed, leaving them uncertain about their next steps. Amaste placed her hand over her heart and declared with unwavering confidence that she would settle all matters swiftly and pass this exam without fail. She promised that together they would become the most remarkable adventurers. Grateful, the girl looked at her friends, silently thanking them for always standing by her side. Deep within the forest, the girls excitedly discussed the mysterious swordsman, trying to unravel his true identity. As their conversation grew more animated, they suddenly noticed that his old, rusty belongings had undergone a remarkable transformation. Laughter bubbles up from one of the girls as she teases her friend, recalling the time she nearly died of fright. In response, the other replies that Spinel almost burst into tears. Amid their banter, Amnesty watches her friends with a gentle smile, softly reminding them that it's time to move on. Suddenly, an unsettling energy emerges behind her friends, sending a chill down the girl's spine. Alarmed, she urgently commands them to duck, her voice trembling with worry as she tries to shield them from danger. The girls manage to dodge in time, yet out of nowhere, massive claws slash through the air and strike them. The girls land gently on the ground, clutching their wounded palms. Confusion clouds their faces as they struggle to make sense of what just occurred. Without warning, a disheveled figure steps forward, firmly positioning itself between the girls and the looming danger, shielding them with determined resolve. Suddenly, a catwoman with perked ears and a sleek tail steps into view. An awkward smile flickers across her face as she runs her feline tongue along the edges of her blades. With a hint of disappointment, she admits she had hoped to be discovered a bit sooner, but, unfortunately, their senses failed them this time. Fear coils tightly around Mesty as she stands face to face with a true demon. Dea turns to her friend, her voice trembling with sincerity as she confesses her longing to restore their friendship to the way it once was. With hope shining in her eyes, she shares her dream of venturing into the world as explorers together. The man turns to the girl's friend and gently assures her there's no need to revisit the past. Dea, puzzled by his words, asks him to clarify. He responds by suggesting that they all become adventurers together. The boy tells her that from now on, she can become his friend, even like a sister. Clutching her arms tightly to her chest, the girl quietly asks if it's truly possible for them to remain just friends. Ratsu lifts her fist with excitement, declaring with bright enthusiasm that she is no longer just a little sister following behind, but now a true friend standing at his side. A warm, genuine smile lights up her face as joyful laughter escapes her, and she gratefully thanks the boy. With genuine honesty, the girl confesses her desire to become her friend. Meanwhile, as the boys carry on their conversation, the demon delivers a severe wound to the unruly one. The girl collapses to the ground, breath coming in labored, shallow gulps. Her friends rush to her side, concern etched across their faces. Hidden among the branches and cloaked in invisibility, the demon silently observes, a sly satisfaction curling his lips. Encountering adventurers in his forest sanctuary feels like an unforeseen blessing. The demon remarks with delight that this place is a hunter's paradise, brimming with countless enticing opportunities. Eyes fixed determinedly ahead, The girl considers her allies' chances. In her mind, Spanel and Lazou stand little hope against a foe who can also vanish from sight. Realization dawned on her that appearing in the midst of an attack likely meant she was unable to move while activating her skill. From that moment, an idea began to form. She could exploit this limitation to her advantage. Without warning, she lunged forward, closing the distance to the demon and striking with precision. The cat girl stood frozen in astonishment, clearly unprepared for such a bold move. Turning to her friends, Mesty announces her plan to hold off their opponent, insisting that they must escape right away. Confusion and fear cloud the girls' faces as they struggle to comprehend the situation. Abandoning her is out of the question. None of them would ever agree to leave her behind. Shouting orders, the girl urgently explains that fighting to protect everyone is beyond her strength. She warns that unless they escape now, doom awaits them all. Suddenly, a demon emerges on the girl's right and drives its blade straight through her shoulder. Pain and confusion twist her face as a startled cry escapes her lips. Doubled over from the searing pain inflicted by the demon, the girl's mind suddenly drifts to memories of Dayu. Ratsu and Daya wandered through the forest, their eyes scanning every shadow and movement among the trees. Suddenly, the boy halted, his gaze sharpening with concern as he studied his companion. In a quiet voice, he asked if she was all right. Daya simply averted her eyes, lost in thought, remaining silent and offering no reply. With anxiety clear in her eyes, the young woman confides that a sense of foreboding weighs heavily on her, prompting her to turn back. Struggling to rise despite her wounds, a dirt-smeared and exhausted girl fought to her feet. Her friends, voices trembling with concern, called out to her, desperate to know if she was all right. The demon lounges back, entertained by the chaos unfolding before him, relishing every moment of the spectacle. Amaste rejoins her friends, assuring them with a determined smile that she is fine. The wound is nothing more than a scratch. She urges them to stop worrying and run to safety. However, the girls stand their ground, refusing to abandon her, and insist that they will not leave her side. With her back turned to them, the girl calls out firmly, urging her friends to escape. Her companions gaze at her, sadness and despair clouding their eyes. Unwilling to argue any longer, the girls place their trust in their friend and dash through the forest. The demon, weapon raised and a wide grin on her face, proclaims that all their efforts are futile, as she will inevitably catch up and destroy them. Suddenly, the enigmatic Misty steps forward, spreading her arms wide and boldly declaring that things are far from simple. With unwavering confidence, she announces that she has detected the demon's weakness. In the blink of an eye, the cat-like woman slips out of the girl's sight, astonishing her with an incredible burst of speed. The long tail of the feline demon curled tightly around the girl's neck. Panic surged within her as she clawed desperately at the tail, struggling to break free, but the demon merely raised its hands and laughed. Every attempt to catch his movement failed. His speed seemed impossible to comprehend. The demon grips the girl tightly by the neck, a sly smile curling on his lips as he asks if this is truly what she intended when she attacked. The only way for her to fight back is to leave her state of invisibility, an idea that fills her with dread. Anxiety surges within her as his words sink in, and she clings desperately to the demon's tail, struggling to draw breath. The demoness advances, her blades pressed close to the girl's neck. At that instant, she recognizes the girl as a valuable prize, yet trusts in her own swift reflexes to maintain the upper hand. Calmly, she explains that escape is impossible, not only for the girl but for the twins as well. All three are destined to meet their end at her hands. Mesty tightens her fist, fully aware that she must buy as much time as possible. Determined, she asks the demon why it chooses to attack people. The demon, still gripping her chin, gazes at her with a look of surprise. The demon claims that blessings are bestowed upon them when they kill humans, just as humans receive blessings when they destroy demons. Meanwhile, Catwoman gently strokes the girl's skin, hinting at another, previously unmentioned reason behind it all. Claws raked across the girl's skin as the demon grinned, confessing her fondness for playing with humans. Softly, she urged the girl to cry and beg for mercy,
suggesting it might be her only chance at salvation. Narrowing her eyes, the girl studies her intently. Boredom starts creeping in for the demon as she realizes she is being ignored. With a languid tone, the demon remarks that if the girl refuses to speak, then perhaps it is time to end this little game. Amasti calmly agrees that indeed it is time to bring everything to a close, leaving the demon visibly taken aback by her answer. With unwavering focus, the girl gathers every ounce of her magical strength, clenching her fist tight. In one swift, decisive motion, she swings her arm toward the demon, unleashing her full force of Shiden. A massive bolt of lightning erupts, piercing straight through the demon. With a gentle flick of his hand, Amesti sent the demon darting away, fleeing desperately to put as much distance as possible between itself and the group. With a heavy sigh, the young woman stretches her arm forward. Gazing ahead, a realization settles within her. She has accomplished what was necessary. That precious moment she secured has given another girl the time she needed. Suddenly, a voice rings out. It is the demon, claiming that her true speed rivals that of lightning itself. Startled, the girl stands frozen in amazement, unable to hide her shock at hearing the demon's voice once more, something she had not anticipated. As the smoke dissipates, a demon emerges before the girl, his body crackling with electric energy. With a mocking tone, he remarks that such tricks will no longer work on him, for his magic is the power of dark lightning. A wave of shock and fear washes over her as she wonders if she faces a true demon. Without warning, the Catwoman sprang from her spot and lunged at the girl. Amiste raised her hand in a desperate attempt to shield herself, but the demon's sharp weapon pierced straight through her palm. Terror flooded the girl's heart as she witnessed the brutal scene. The demon strikes the girl with brutal force, wrenching a scream of pain and terror from her lips. Brandishing his blades, he lets out a guttural laugh and admits his enjoyment of her cries, declaring his desire to hear them again. Catwoman declares her resolve to keep fighting, determined to strike at the enemy again and again. Exhaustion weighs heavily on her, every movement a struggle, yet she holds on through sheer willpower, her only hope now that her friends have enough time to escape. The demon gathered its strength for another attack. Meanwhile, the girl remained calm, certain that everything was still within her grasp. A plan had already taken shape in her mind, guiding her through the chaos. Experience from past struggles reminded her just how much effort she had already invested. Perhaps, she realized, the artifact could be recharged and used once more. Suddenly, realization dawns on the girl that she cannot manage on her own. Fear tightens its grip around her heart as silent tears stream down her cheeks. Lowering herself to the ground, she quietly pleads for someone to come to her aid, her voice barely a whisper in her soul. Without warning, Dea dashes forward, racing with urgency to reach her longtime friend and offer help. The demon acts without hesitation, swiftly raising her sword in preparation for a sneaky strike against the girl. In the next moment, Daya's shield materializes before the girl, halting the woman cat in her tracks and causing her to retreat in surprise. The girl lifts her head, weariness and tears clouding her gaze. Daya's calm presence reassures her, promising that she is now safe. Amesti's eyes widen in astonishment as she recognizes her old friend standing before her, the unexpected reunion catching her completely off guard. With unwavering determination, Dea grips her shield and promises to protect Amesti no matter what challenges arise. Upon spotting the girl, the demon bursts into laughter, certain he has stumbled upon fresh prey. Suddenly, a shout slices through the air. Someone cries out about black flames. The demon's confidence crumbles, fear gripping him at the mere mention of those words. Out of nowhere, a powerful blow hurtles toward her. Meanwhile, concern for her and Ratsu propels their friends forward as they race urgently to the boys, determined to lend their aid. Tears suddenly welled up in the girl's eyes as she offered a heartfelt apology. Meanwhile, Amaska's curiosity grew. She wondered what was behind such a reaction and what had brought them to this place. The friend quickly stepped in to comfort the girl, gently urging her not to cry, and immediately began administering first aid. With her shield still raised, Dea turned to the girls and shared her unsettling premonition. Nearby, her friends were already tending to Amesta, offering her first aid.
Memories surface of girls rushing to her in the armory, desperate and pleading for help. Glancing at her bandaged hand, Mesty quietly admits that survival was possible for her. The young woman turns to her former friend and wonders aloud why she would bother to save her, especially after a lifetime spent speaking ill of her. Before she can finish, Deja cuts her off with a gentle smile, softly explaining that the reason for her rescue is simple. They are friends. Emotions overwhelm Misty as every word she hears pierces straight through her heart, sending bitter tears streaming down her cheeks. Suddenly, a demon emerges from beneath the ruins and assures her that these truly are her friends. The man's anger gradually builds, a nervous smile flickering across his face as he declares his desire to witness tears of pain, not those of calm surrender. Suddenly, a woman with feline features darted out from the crowd. She rushed forward and demanded to know what would happen if she tore her friend apart right there in front of everyone. Suddenly, Ratsu steps forward, blocking her path and intercepting the attack in an instant. His swift counterstrike hits before the demon can even react. With a swift movement, the demoness catches his sword between her blades. Calmly, she addresses him, insisting he step aside and allow her to fulfill the duty that awaits her. With a swift flick of her blades, the Catwoman accelerates her pace and declares she will bestow the power of the dark storm. The man manages to block her strike just in time, forcing the demon to stagger back a few steps. Instantly, he realizes how quick the demon is. Without wasting a moment, he declares he will shroud his sword in the magic of black flame. A dark, fiery aura envelops his blade, radiating power. The boy unleashes a blow of astonishing strength toward the demon woman, yet she dodges with elegant agility. The Catwoman marvels at such sheer power, her thoughts racing with curiosity about the boy's true nature. Wasting no time, the boy strikes again in a flash, severing the demon's tail with a decisive move. The demoness suddenly realizes her tail has been severed, and a wild fury consumes her. Rage surges through her as she trembles with wrath, cursing vehemently in her anger. A sudden realization strikes the young man. He still lacks the knowledge and experience needed for battle. Yet with the enchanted sword in his grasp, victory seems within reach. In the next instant, a sharp pain courses through him, forcing his hand to release the sword. A sudden, sharp headache pierced through the man's mind. The demoness, caught off guard by this unexpected turn, glanced at him with surprise and asked what had happened. At that moment, she also noticed the artifact had changed its appearance. The demon's gaze lands on a rusted ancient sword lying on the ground, and he wonders whether this relic's power might be limited. One of his demonic adversaries lets out a mocking laugh, calling him an amusing fellow, yet promises to destroy him regardless. Raising her arm to strike, she is unexpectedly stopped as a shield materializes before the girl, blocking her attack. Dea appeared before the boy at the perfect moment, shielding him as he struggled to regain his senses. The demon, recognizing this girl once more, recoiled with fear. The demon, seething with rage, threatens to smash the artifact. Unmoved, Amesti turns a calm gaze toward Day and explains that such destruction is impossible, for before them stands an eternal shield of limitless strength. The demon stares in disbelief, her fury barely contained as she questions whether this could truly be infinity. The notion seems impossible to grasp, especially when she considers how this girl could have acquired such a thing. The demoness summoned her acceleration magic once more, propelling herself forward with blinding speed. With a disdainful glance, she eyed the boy's artifact and the girl's shield, declaring both to be revolting trinkets unworthy of concern. In the blink of an eye, she vanished from sight. The boy scanned the area in confusion, searching desperately for any sign of her, and muttered uncertainty about her whereabouts. The girl, meanwhile, closed her eyes and stood perfectly still, focusing all her senses on the faint sounds that filled the air. In a flash, the demon lunges at the girl, but she manages to raise her shield just in time, warding off the attack. The demon's eyes widen in furious astonishment, unable to comprehend how she reacted with such speed. The girl wonders aloud if it all happened by accident, then asks what the demon plans to do next. Meanwhile, Catwoman calls upon her acceleration magic once again and strikes out, but her efforts prove futile once more. The demon's anger intensified, and with a fierce glare he demanded to know who they were, scoffing at their lack of status as adventurers. In response, Dea shot him a furious look, her eyes flashing with defiance. The realization dawns on him that her constant protection over him had always carried a purpose. None of it was ever left to mere chance. The realization dawned on him that her edge lay not in being the first to spot a monster or sense an enemy's movement. At last, the truth became clear. She possessed the uncanny ability to see into the future. The enemy before them, a Catwoman, vanishes just as swiftly as she appeared. The boy lifts his sword, now ready for battle once more, and asks the girl where their foe might be hiding. Turning to face him, the girl listens to his words with keen attention. Eyes squeezed shut, she seems to sense what is about to unfold. Suddenly, her eyes snap open, and she points directly to the spot where a demon is destined to appear. Moments later, her prediction proves true as an enemy materializes, a cat girl who immediately launches an attack on the boy. This time, however, he stands prepared and manages to defend himself just in time. A surge of excitement and a hint of fear course through the man as he realizes, with honest astonishment, just how extraordinary the demoness's speed is. Stumbling back in surprise, uncertainty flickers across his face. With quiet conviction, he acknowledges to himself that no matter how hard he tries, he will never be able to touch her. The demoness doubles over with laughter, her hysterics weaving together rage and curses. Each word rings out like a challenge, a vow to wipe out every last one of her foes without exception. Weighing his circumstances, the young man realizes that even an unlikely victory in this battle would not mark the end. Drawing in a steady breath, he assures himself that everything will be all right and silently vows to try again, no matter the obstacles. Driven by determination, he decides to call upon a magic known as Shedden, hoping to tip the scales in his favor. Suddenly, black lightning strikes through the demon once more. The sight is truly striking, yet she only sighs, as if the event holds no importance for her. A storm of anger and emotion swells within Catwoman as she can no longer hold back her shout, insisting that she had warned them it would fail, that the outcome was decided from the start. Just as tempers reach their height, Amastis suddenly interrupts, announcing that everything must be moved immediately. In an instant, as if conjured by magic, Rats found himself behind the demon. With a swift, forceful strike, he caught the demon completely off guard, the shock clearly reflected on the creature's face. A surge of confidence propels the man as he delivers a powerful vertical strike against the demon. The Catwoman, caught off guard, finds herself unable to react in time or raise a defense. With unwavering resolve, the young man slices the demon clean in half, sealing his victory. Moments later, the creature begins to dissolve into the air, its form gradually fading away as if carried off by the wind. The girls nearby froze in awe, captivated by the scene unfolding before them. Overwhelmed with joy, Dea's face brightened with a broad smile as she exclaimed proudly for all to hear that they had succeeded, that together they had managed to overcome the uncontrollable threat. With genuine warmth and ease, the man replies that he owes everything to her and to Amistia, their spiritual strength and courage. Profound respect fills the young man as he steps closer, while the girl, surprised by his candor, studies him intently. A warm smile spreads across the man's face, causing a faint blush to appear on the girl's cheeks. She tries to speak, but the words remain caught in her throat. Suddenly, the boy realizes that only a few moments remain until the exam ends. The words sent a chill through Rats and Dea, fear flickering in their eyes. With only one doll remaining, the boy reached for it, uncertainty clouding his face as he hesitated, unsure of his next move. A chilling realization settles in his heart. Only one of them, either himself or Dea, will move forward, and only one will earn the title of adventurer. Anxiety coils within him, leaving nothing but restless echoes in his soul. Dangerous figures prowl the forest under the cover of night, whispering among themselves to see if anyone has spotted the girl yet. She must be found before she can escape to the city. Hidden behind the dense bushes, the girl peers out anxiously, her eyes fixed on their every move. Calling upon restorative magic, she mends her injured arm, yet after a few seconds, the healing abruptly halts. Drifting toward the edge of the abyss, the girl peers intently into the night-shrouded forest below. Anger boils within her whenever her gaze lands on the trees, for she is certain that these adventurous seekers are the true source of all misfortune. In the city, a man approaches the rats and requests that once their exams are over, they share the details of the demon attack with him. The boy agrees, then shifts his gaze, his eyes lingering on the solitary doll nearby. Lost in thought, the man fixes his gaze on the doll, his mind quietly turning over the possibilities that lie ahead. Without warning, Dia approaches him with a calm demeanor and addresses the young man directly. The man turns and carefully places the doll into Day's hands, holding it firmly for a moment before releasing his grip. In a calm voice, he tells her that she is destined to become a traveler. Day gazes at the doll with astonishment, her eyes wide with wonder. Panic flickered across the girl's face as her words tangled together, struggling to regain her composure. She acknowledged his victory over the demon and the doll he had received as a reward. In her opinion, this achievement marked him as someone worthy of becoming a true adventurer. The man gently reassures the girl, explaining that when they first met, his journey could have ended right then and there. Aya gazes at him, her eyes wide with surprise. The young man gently held her hands, still clasping the doll, and remarked that she had stood up for a stranger. In a small village like this, he added, it is kindness that certainly looks after many people. With a firm grip on her hands and eyes fixed on the doll, he offers her a heartfelt greeting. Without letting go of her hand or the doll, Mesty suddenly appears and quietly observes them. Her gaze lingers patiently as she asks how long the boy intends to keep holding her hand. The man spins around abruptly, releasing the girl's hand. Surprise flickers in his eyes. He clearly hadn't anticipated running into her at this moment. An awkward tension settles over Dea. With a bandaged arm and a faint, knowing smile, Amity asks if the two of them are really a couple. The young man grows visibly uneasy at the girl's words, struggling to deny what she says. Noticing the girl's condition, Dea, concerned, points out she's injured and needs to rest. With a hint of carelessness, the girl replies that she understands and will rest soon. Yet, in the next instant, she produces a doll and tosses it into the air. The doll drops directly into the boy's hands. He catches it with ease, puzzlement flickering across his face as he wonders about the girl's unusual decision. Amesti calmly explains that none of the three have any use for the doll, so she has decided to let him borrow it for a while. The boy's astonishment at her unexpected gesture is so great that it shows clearly on his face. Mesty moves further through the city, seemingly uninterested in Dayu's presence. Noticing this, Dayu comes to a halt, her lips parting as if to ask a question. Without turning around, Mesty tosses a single word over her shoulder. Remember. Turning around, she offers a broad, warm smile and assures that she will join soon. A relieved sigh escapes the girl as tears of joy glide down her cheeks. Her genuine, warm smile brightens her face, and she softly says that she will eagerly await their meeting. The boys watch as the three friends walk away, one of them turning to ask the girl if she is all right. She responds in a clear voice, assuring him that everything is fine. A stranger's voice calls out, pointing out that only the two boys haven't gone through the procedure yet. Startled, the heroes glance around in surprise, searching for the source of the unfamiliar sound. The boys turn around to see Janet standing behind them. She points out that they are responsible for the demon getting in. Yet in the same breath, she admits a newfound gratitude toward them. With a sharp and discerning gaze, the girl examines them closely, warning that from this moment on, their lives will grow even more perilous. With a determined glint in her eyes, the woman proclaims that from this moment on, they are genuine adventurers. The girl and boy shuffle awkwardly, yet their faces glow with happiness at her words. The group of friends gathered at the bar to celebrate their promotion. Grins spread across their faces as they raised their cocktail glasses with a cheerful clink, savoring the joy of their accomplishments. The girl glances back at the boy, pointing out how expensive everything is.
The boy responds with a cheerful grin, raising his fist in excitement, and assures her that they have every right to enjoy themselves today since it's a special occasion. Calmly, he explains that he has plenty of money, courtesy of his mother. The girl grows a bit uneasy and, with a hint of worry, offers to pay for the bill herself. A sudden recollection flashes through Ratsu's mind, prompting him to turn to the girl. On his way back from the guild, he had inadvertently overheard Amestia speaking about his apology after the demon attack. He shares the news that they've been given permission to take the exam as soon as next week. Upon hearing this, the girl feels a mixture of happiness for her friend and a touch of anxiety. Sensing her concern, the man reassures her, insisting there is no need to worry about them. A smile spreads across her face as she agrees, having found clarity in his words. Wiping the tears from her cheeks, she offers a warm smile and assures him that, even if they never set off as travelers together, adventures still await them both someday. The boy gazes at her in surprise, the weight of her words lingering between them. The man nods in agreement with her, his words echoing her thoughts. Surprise flashes across the girl's face. This outcome had not occurred to her. Unsure, she asks him to clarify exactly what he means. The boy reveals that he once made a promise to someone special, to become an adventurer. Memories drift back to a time of weakness, when the man across from him had stood as his unwavering shield, never once hesitating to protect him. As his story draws to a close, a gentle stillness settles over the table. After a moment, the young woman, pausing with her meal, lifts her gaze and softly murmurs that now everything makes sense to her. Dea, with a hint of embarrassment, asks again to confirm if he truly wishes to join him. Mug in hand, the man shakes his head in quiet denial, acknowledging the distance that still separates him from his goal. Experience must come first, as well as the patience to raise his own abilities. Staring into his drink and catching his reflection, he murmurs a promise to himself that one day he will become even stronger. Understanding the situation, the girl fixed her gaze on the boy as he leisurely sipped from his cup. She asked if this was truly a promotion test, then admitted her real goal, to rise above the white rank. At last, realization dawns on the young man as he once more inquires about the white rank. With sincerity, he admits that he now understands the girl's genuine determination to rise above the rest. Lowering her gaze, Dea quietly asked if he knew about the hazardous section of the Shirogane cave. She explained that only adventurers of the white rank were permitted to enter. The man, taken aback, questioned why she needed to venture into such a perilous place. With determination, the girl replied that reaching that cave was her purpose, and it was precisely for this reason she had become an adventurer. With a grave expression, the young woman recounts how her parents once lived as adventurers. Their final journey led them into the depths of the Shirogane cave, from which they never returned. Now, more than anything, she yearns to uncover the truth about their fate. Surprise widens the young man's eyes as disbelief settles over him. Unsure, he asks the girl if these people are truly her parents. In response, she rises gracefully, a hint of mystery in her movements, as if preparing to share a long-held secret. Gripping his hands firmly, she gazes straight into his eyes and asks if he would like to join their group, convinced that they make a truly remarkable pair together. Upon hearing the question, a gentle smile forms on the man's lips. The girl notices his reaction and, with a hint of worry, asks why he is laughing. Once the young man finally stifled his laughter, he explained that the words sounded oddly familiar, as if he'd heard them somewhere before. Embarrassment washed over the girl, her cheeks deepening in color, and an even stronger sense of awkwardness settled upon her. Rising from the table, joy lights his face and gratitude fills his heart as he turns to the girl. He opens up about his true longing, revealing the real reason he yearns to become an adventurer. With heartfelt honesty, the man confides his dream of becoming a hero, someone who protects others. Unease flickers in his eyes as he wonders aloud if such dreams are truly acceptable. The girl responds with a bright smile, her reassurance gentle, affirming that his aspirations are perfectly fine. The boys joined forces, pledging to support one another and strive with all their might to become exceptional adventurers. The following day, Rats and Dea pay a visit to Janet.
Relief washes over her face as she greets them, remarking that she's glad they've finally arrived. The man offers a polite greeting and inquires how they might assist her. In response, the young woman explains that, because of the demon's interference, she forgot to give them something very important. 2 books are set on the table as she announces their arrival. The boys pick them up, carefully examining each cover and page. Curiosity arises in one of them, who wonders aloud about the purpose of these books and what they contain. Janet explains that these books serve as proof of completing quests from the adventurer's notebook, and with them, one can collect various rewards and seals. The boys study their new notebooks with wide-eyed amazement, curiosity lighting up their faces. The boy, a look of surprise in his eyes, asked what seals were. The girl calmly explained that by collecting a certain number of seals, they would earn the right to take the rank advancement trial. The girl and the man, both astonished, discover that advancing their rank in the trial is truly possible through the use of seals. The young woman wonders aloud if they truly wish to attempt the advancement trial. She explains that this city caters to inexperienced adventurers, offering straightforward tasks with modest, limited rewards. Janet hands them a form, assuring that she will swiftly find the perfect local requests for them. The boys holding books study the paper intently, trying to decipher the writing on it. A man holds a postcard from the farm and marvels at it, wondering if it truly is a missing dog notice. Thoughts swirl as he questions whether such a request could really be considered perfect. The boy studies the form, noticing the reward is rather modest. His girlfriend reassures him, explaining that this is just the beginning. Janet suggests that if they truly want to secure a high-paying request, perhaps it's time to consider relocating their base of operations. The girl asks for clarification, curious about what exactly it would mean to change their base. She shares stories of the rather bizarre requests that sometimes come their way, attracting all sorts of adventurers, from the humble copper ranks to the elusive black class. Suddenly, her words trail off, and she holds her breath, as if an unexpected memory flashes through her mind. Daya inquires about the situation, and the girl explains that a famous adventurer from the city of Blustria recently vanished without a trace, leaving everyone unable to locate him. With curiosity in her gaze, Daya asks what he means by disappeared, her mind wandering uncertainly to the unsettling possibility that the man may have fallen into the hands of demons. The young man suggests they should carefully consider their options. For now, they agree to accept the task of finding the missing dog. The man offered an apology to the girl, admitting that he had made the decision on his own. The girl assured him she wasn't upset, yet she still pressed to hear the truth. Curiosity sparked. She asked what had actually happened, prompting the boy to explain that the request had caught his interest because it had only just recently come in. The young man explains that the dog they are searching for disappeared earlier this morning near the Nanashiki forest. The girl suggests that this might be the very spot where they once took their exam. The man nods in agreement, pointing out that their strict employer, who has no patience for tardiness, might end up searching for him personally, something that would not end well. A look of surprise crosses the girl's face as the realization finally dawns on her. The young man wonders aloud if perhaps Janet intentionally assigned them this task, hoping they would pay closer attention and reflect on something deeper. Before he can finish his thought, the girl suddenly interrupts, spotting something ahead. Daya walks up to the tree, moving carefully through the bushes before sitting down beside them. Her eyes focus intently on whatever caught her interest. The boy, noticing her reaction, looks over in surprise and asks what happened there. Approaching the girl as she peers intently into the bushes, the man suddenly notices a group of goblins ahead. Each goblin is wearing a hat and clutching a club, their numbers quickly multiplying. The man realizes that kobolds stand before him. He mentions they're already spotted and that an ambush has been set. Admitting to their cunning ways, he begins to explain further, but the girl interrupts, swiftly turning and urging him to look around. Without warning, a large pack of goblins closes in on the boy and girl. Confusion and fear sweep over the children as they realize they are completely surrounded. An eerie smile creeps across the kobold's face, hinting at mischievous plans unfolding in his mind. The man realizes that, on their own, these creatures pose little threat. However, surrounded by a crowd of them, the consequences could be disastrous. It becomes clear to him that Daya won't be able to shield them both from such an overwhelming force. Yet suddenly, a shift takes place within him. A surge of confidence arises as he senses a chance for escape. With firm resolve, he draws the blades from his belt, preparing himself for the impending battle. Daya spots the boy's weapon and instantly recognizes it as the demon cat's blade. Without a moment's hesitation, the boy combines his own sword with the demon's blades, forging a new and formidable artifact. The kobolds watched the boy intently, their curiosity piqued by his every move. With calm confidence, he declared that he would imbue his sword with magical black flames. In an instant, the weapon pulsed with newfound strength, its power unmistakably enhanced. Narrowing his eyes, the man murmurs an incantation, weaving together a double spell. Adopting a battle stance, he raises his newly acquired sword and conjures his magic. Black lightning crackles around him, illuminating the air with dark energy. The girl stands stunned by the young man's actions, confusion clouding her mind as he strides swiftly toward the tapestry, his black sword swinging purposefully at his side. Paralyzed by terror, the kobolds scatter in all directions when they realize that a single touch from this boy spells their doom. He raises his arm, ready to strike, yet the goblins recoil in panic, fear etched across their faces as they hastily retreat from his presence. Anxious eyes followed Ratsu as Daya watched, concern shadowing her face. Suddenly, he noticed black lightning crackle along his sword, a surge of immense power abruptly coursing through him. In a frightened voice, she asked if he was all right, and wondered aloud if that was truly the legendary artifact and the infamous demon cat. Calmly, Ratsu explained that what she saw wasn't just an artifact, but a unique sword technique born from the synthesis of artifacts. According to him, it wasn't only weapons that could be fused. Skills themselves could be combined as well. The man explained that it was indeed possible to combine two distinct abilities within a single artifact. Hearing this, the young man admitted that he had just been wondering whether it might be possible to activate both abilities at the same time. The girl nods in understanding, admitting that this artifact truly stands apart from the rest. Meanwhile, a realization dawns on the boy. He possesses the mental strength to attempt activating dual magic, yet his body would not survive the strain. Out from the bushes steps a small girl, cradling a dog in her arms. In awe, she admits that what she witnessed was amazing, though curiosity soon takes over as she inquires about their activities. At that moment, her dog starts barking loudly, capturing everyone's attention. Startled by the fear of being discovered, the girl quickly slips away. Meanwhile, the boy arrives at the scene with another girl. Both pause near the source of the commotion and soon realize the sound had come from this very bush. A short distance ahead, a girl sits quietly on the ground with a small dog by her side. Concerned, they ask if she is all right, but the man gently holds her back, urging caution before she approaches. Stepping protectively in front of the girl, the man shields her from view. Daya watches him with surprise, unable to grasp the motive for his actions. The young man then reveals in a calm voice that he had already suspected something was off about her. Suddenly, the man shouts that the girl is a demon. Fear seizes her as the realization dawns. Her secret has been exposed. Daya asks again, still puzzled by the situation. The girl's appearance doesn't match that of a demon, which leaves her genuinely surprised. In response, the boy suggests they waste no time and report the matter to the Adventurers Guild at once. The man knows that demons are considered humanity's enemies, yet as he gazes at the frightened girl, he sees little difference between her and any ordinary person. Unease coils within him as doubts creep in, leaving him uncertain whether he has the resolve to attack her. From a young age, Roxy had eagerly devoured tales of heroic deeds, and it had always seemed clear to her that demons stood as the sworn enemies of humankind. The man recognizes that the demons they've encountered have always posed a danger and stood as enemies of humanity. Yet for the first time in his life, uncertainty about them begins to stir within his heart. The boy and girl stood face to face with the girl who had the ears of a dog. In the boy's mind,
A silent question stirred as he wondered whether this demon could truly be considered their enemy.
Fingers drift cautiously to the hilt of his sword. Noticing this, the girl instantly recognizes an adventurer standing before her. Terror sweeps through her, leaving her trembling uncontrollably. Uncertainty flickers in the young man's eyes as he studies her reaction, unable to tell if her fear is really for him, since, to a demon, all adventurers mean danger. The boy gazes at the trembling girl, her fear evident in every movement, and wonders if it was demons like her that had once attacked him. Yet, he quickly realizes that this particular demon stirs neither a sense of danger nor hostility within him. Suddenly, a tiny dog jumps forward, barking fiercely at the boy in a bold attempt to shield its frightened friend. The tiny dog barks furiously at the boy, throwing itself into the role of protector for the girl. She herself never expected such courage from her companion. Ratsu and Daya watch in surprise, taken aback by the dog's sudden display of bravery. Memories of every demon who had tried to end his life flickered through his mind. Uncertainty gripped him as he struggled to make sense of his next move. A thought stirs within the man as he wonders what actions he would take if he were a hero. In his mind, he also contemplates how Ruby might respond if she stood in his place. Ratsu forces distracting thoughts from his mind, now fully aware that, as an adventurer, he must make decisions on his own. Suddenly, the call of a small demon searching for its brother reaches his ears. The sight unfolds before him. The demon grips her tiny hands while the doctor urgently calls for his brother's assistance. The sight before him leaves the man frozen in place. After taking a moment to reconsider the situation, his sword gradually lowers. Without a word, he extends his hand toward the tearful girl, silently offering a gesture of reconciliation. Leaning forward gently, the boy offers a warm smile, his expression filled with apology for frightening the girl. With a kind voice, he softly asks if she is all right. Daya gazes at him in surprise, caught off guard by such an unexpectedly tender response from her friend. Surprise and fear flicker across the girl's face, yet she suddenly straightens up and reassures everyone that she is perfectly fine. Suddenly, realization dawns on Daya. A smile spreads across her face as she remarks that it was indeed the very same dog. According to the demon, the reason for their constant companionship was that he resembled a lost child. The heroes exchange surprised glances as they spot the girl in the forest and ask what brings her here. The boy wonders aloud if she is truly lost. With a dog tucked under her arm, the demon averts her gaze and calmly insists that she is not lost at all. With a nod, the man signals his understanding. He notes that staying here alone poses a danger. Tension lingers in the air as Dia senses the unease and suggests that they escort her safely home. In response, the demon gently holds the little puppy closer, quietly confessing that there is nowhere for her to go, no place she can truly call home. The revelation leaves the others genuinely surprised. The girl gazes at the same lost dog with a gentle sadness in her eyes, explaining that scenes like this are the reason she never truly feels lost herself. The man looks on, taken aback by the sincerity of her words. Without warning, the girl gently sets the tiny dog on the ground, explaining that it's time for her to leave. The puppy, however, turns back to her, rising onto his hind legs and barking anxiously, as if pleading with her not to go. The demon settles down next to the distressed pup and reassures the girl. There's no need to worry. The little dog will be better off in the care of these people. Without warning, the dog leaps at the girl, knocking her off her feet. The others watch in astonishment as the playful pup showers the demon with affectionate licks. Laughter spills from the girl as she lies on the ground, begging the dog to stop because the tickling is too much. Laughter bubbles up from Daya and Ratsu as the moment turns lighthearted. While she gently strokes the dog, Ratsu addresses her, asking if she would like them to discuss her assistance with the Adventurers Guild. His question leaves her visibly confused and caught off guard. At the mention of the Adventurers Guild, fear flickered across the girl's face. Sensing her unease, the boy quickly reassured her, promising that her secret as a demon would remain safe with him. Daya suggests that the girl should find herself a place to call home, but the man advises that everything must be done quietly and without drawing attention. Suddenly, the girl seems to shrink, lowering her gaze with a hint of sadness, and softly murmurs that everything is fine. She just wants some time alone right now. The young man stared at the forlorn demoness, disbelief clouding his eyes at her words. A strange sensation quietly crept over him. In that same moment, a massive dagger hurtles toward them. Without hesitation, the young man grabs the girl and shields her with his own body, sparing her from the strike. Still, the powerful magic ripples through the air, catching them both in its grasp. A powerful blow sends the boy and the demon tumbling to the side, while Daya's heart pounds with deep concern for their safety. The girl gazes at the weary boy and, concern flickering in her eyes, asks if he is all right. He meets her gaze and assures her that everything is fine. A look of confusion and fear flashes across the demon girl's face as she quietly asks why he chose to help her, given her nature as a demon. Labored breaths escape the man as he explains that, despite where she comes from, she is not his enemy. A sudden memory surfaces of the man who spoke of the value of human connections. Without a moment's hesitation, she reaches out to the boy, driven by an urge to take action. Her hand rests gently on his back, and a soft, healing glow of magic begins to surround the boy, gradually restoring his strength. In an instant, the man rises to his feet and notices all his wounds have vanished. The girl, puzzled, asks if this was the work of healing magic. The man wonders aloud why the forewarning of the future failed. He starts to question whether that attack was truly meant for them. Suddenly, a stranger emerges before them, claiming to have overheard quite a bit. Without wasting a moment, he sharply orders the boy to step aside, leaving Ratsu thoroughly taken aback. Helio stands before them, his words sharp with reprimand. A sudden spark of recognition flashes through the boy's mind as the memory surfaces. They had crossed paths once before, back in his childhood. At that moment, a group of boys emerges from the bushes, urging Helio not to wander off alone. Suddenly, they notice a group of young men and grow curious about their identities. One of the men turns to Helio, questioning whether he had truly attacked other adventurers. Helio simply replies that those people are not adventurers at all. Suddenly, Ratsu approaches Helio and greets him, sharing that he has also become an adventurer. The news leaves Helio surprised, but soon a hearty laugh bursts from him as he teases that the guild must be truly short on people if they're accepting even someone like Ratsu. Suddenly, the man's demeanor shifts, his expression hardening as he demands a clear explanation from the boy about why he has chosen to defend the demon. Stepping protectively in front of the girl, the young man calmly explains that this child is not their enemy. Helio cursed under his breath, astonished that this boy seemed unaware of everything those hero stories made clear. Demons and humans have always been sworn enemies. Out of nowhere, a man's concerned voice reached Helio from behind, gently inquiring if he was all right. The man explained that they had been given a mission to pursue this demon, considering it a likely suspect in the renowned case of the missing adventurer. After finishing his story, he reached out his hand, calmly requesting that the demon be handed over to them. Stunned by the unexpected confession, Dea freezes in place. The boy quietly admits that Janet had already told him everything. At that moment, the little demon starts to tremble with fear, struggling to find the words to speak. Clutching the boy's shirt with trembling hands, the girl's eyes brim with fear. In a quivering voice, she confesses her confusion, insisting this isn't truly her. The demon turns to the boy with a pleading look, urging him to place his trust in her. Gripping his weapon firmly, the man declared with unwavering resolve that if the demon would not be surrendered, he would deal with it himself right then and there. A wave of fear washes over Rats as the realization dawns that a fight with him is inevitable. Helios's partners urgently tried to calm him down, their voices low as they asked what he planned to do next. His response was a furious curse, followed by a harsh command for silence. With a steely glare, he fixed his eyes on the heroes and declared his unwavering intent to destroy the demon. Turning to Daya, Ratsu quietly pleads for protection. Helio interrupts with a stern remark, his voice edged with irritation. This, he declares, is her final warning. Without waiting for a response, he commands Ratsu to step aside. Gripping his sword firmly, The young man declares with unwavering resolve that he refuses to go through with it. The man's anger flared even hotter as he lunged forward and struck at him with his spear. The boy manages to block the blow, but the sheer force still sends him flying backward. Suddenly, Helio appears and delivers a powerful punch straight at him. Ratsu is sent flying backward from the blow, while the man hurls a torrent of insults, coming up with all sorts of mocking nicknames for his opponent. Kicks rain down from Helio as he orders the man not to even think about resisting. The man remains motionless, allowing Helio to strike him without opposition. The man's partners urge him to halt, their voices tense with urgency. Suddenly, Dea emerges before Helio, her presence commanding as she orders him to stop at once. Stepping forward, she spreads her arms wide, forming a protective barrier between the boy and any approaching danger. The men wonder aloud if she is truly mocking them. One of them raises his voice, demanding to know if anyone else intends to stand up for her. Helio shields his face with a hand, admitting that the sight of such a pitiful boy deeply unsettles him. Helio peers ominously through the gaps of his fingers, his gaze shadowed. At that very moment, the girl slowly turns to face him. According to her, this boy acts as if he considers himself superior to everyone else. The man scowls, his brow furrowed, and demands to know if the woman truly understands who she's speaking to. Lifting her head, the girl fixes him with a steely gaze and declares she has no idea who he is, then demands to know his identity. Without uttering a word, the man lifts his spear, clearly preparing to strike the girl. But in that tense moment, Ratsu suddenly appears, stepping in front of her and shielding her from harm, skillfully deflecting the attack. Helio studies the boy's weapon intently, curiosity sharpening his gaze as he asks about the artifact in the boy's hands. Ratsu expressed his gratitude to Dayu, but she simply smiled, assuring him it was nothing, reminding him that after all, a boy's first duty is to protect a girl. Suddenly, Helios's partner points out to the other that an opportunity has appeared. The demon is now unprotected. However, the man calmly replies that it is not yet the right moment to make a move. The man watches his partner closely, noticing the surprise flicker across their face, as they wonder why this moment cannot simply happen now. Furious, Helio declared that despite any outward transformation, nothing inside had truly changed, and that made no difference. The men then chanted an incantation, "O magic of the blood spear." Ratsu realized that the first blow struck the one who had put his faith in magic. Observing how the force had gathered at a single point, it became clear to him, Helio, gifted from the start, had gained 3 more years of combat experience than he had. Ratsu acknowledges that, no matter how powerful his artifact may be, it can never rival Helio's strength. Recognizing the danger of a direct assault, an idea flashes in his mind. With newfound confidence, he declares, "I offer magic." The man shifts into a fighting stance, swinging his mace while invoking a spell of black lightning. The boy believes that victory will go to whoever strikes first, since his opponent could destroy his artifact before he has a chance to react. A faint smile flickers across Helio's lips as he tells the boy he will gladly remind him if it has slipped his mind. Squaring his shoulders, the young man drops into a fighting stance and declares their true differences. Without warning, Ratsu lunges forward with astonishing speed, launching a swift and sudden assault. The men could hardly believe how swiftly he moved. Without hesitation, he swung his spear and hurled it, intent on taking the young man's life in that very moment. The man swiftly dodges the blow while Ratsu shouts and summons every ounce of strength within. Exposing himself in the open, the young man gathers his strength and strikes the spear with precision, snapping it cleanly in two. Upon witnessing the destruction of Helio's B-rank artifact, confusion sweeps through his teammates as they exchange bewildered glances. Ratsu turns to the young man, offering a heartfelt apology. Achilleo narrowed his eyes, his anger unmistakable, and demanded whether the boy truly believed victory was his just because he broke the artifact. Razu, overwhelmed and stunned by everything he has just heard, barely has a moment to gather his thoughts when, without warning, the man suddenly seizes the edge of his shirt. The move is so swift and unexpected that Razu doesn't have time to react. Without a moment's hesitation, the man hurls the hero harshly to the unforgiving ground. His voice rings out, brimming with disdain as he declares that
In the end, the hero is no adventurer at all, just another failure among many. Gripping the man's shirt with determined hands, Helio spoke sternly, suggesting that only someone of questionable character would defend their enemy, a demoness. Yet the man, calm and composed, replied that though she was a demon, she was by no means an enemy, reminding Helio that she had helped him during a difficult time. In a low voice, he then asked whether belonging to the demon race alone was enough for someone to be called an enemy. With a sharp, reproachful glance, Helio fixes his gaze on the frightened girl and commands her to listen only to him, completely disregarding anyone else. Anger flares as he unleashes a stream of curses, insisting the girl carry his message to everyone who has lost family, friends, or loved ones to the cruelty of demons. One crucial thought must be shared. Perhaps those demons were never the true enemies after all. Rage flared hotter within the man, intensity etched across his features. With indignation, he turned to the rats and spoke, questioning whether anyone could truly betray an entire group of people for the sake of a single demon. In a low, bitter murmur, he wondered if he had already forgotten the very words he spoke at the beginning of their conversation. Deep within his heart, memories stir of a young boy with eyes aglow, once lost in the pages of a book, confessing his dream of becoming a hero. With unwavering confidence, Rats reaches out and firmly grasps Helio's hand, declaring aloud that he genuinely offers help to anyone who seeks it, even to a demon whom everyone else avoids. Wearing a scowl, the man lets out a sarcastic remark, pretending to understand everything. With a swift motion, he raises his broken spear and announces that, from this moment on, he stands as their enemy. At that very moment, as if summoned by magic, members of the guild arrive on the scene. Their voices ring with authority as they command the boy to stop immediately and cease all his actions. Still brimming with unease, the man shot them a sharp, wary glance and sternly reminded them that using artifacts without proper registration was a grave violation of safety regulations. Doubt clouded his face as he questioned if they truly were unaware of such a crucial rule, his voice laced with suspicion. Ratsu turns toward the man, uncertainty flickering across his face as he wonders if this is truly a guild official sent to reprimand them. Wearing a scowl of disapproval, the man cast a contemptuous glance at them and declared that, regardless of the cause of their quarrel, both would face punishment. He instructed everyone to prepare themselves for the consequences. The townspeople remain puzzled by today's unusual commotion. According to some locals, a rumor circulates that an escaped fugitive has been caught. Janet sat in her office, grumbling about the commotion outside while Helio and Ratsu sat across from her, both turned to the side and avoiding her gaze. The girl describes the unfolding battle, where adventurers clash using powerful artifacts. Our colleagues witness this fierce duel, while she takes a moment to speak with Helio and the rats. Janet inquires if they have anything that might justify their actions. Helio points a finger at the boy, declaring that he no longer belongs among the adventurers. From now on, he is an outcast. A man glares at him with a mix of anger and contempt, accusing him of coming to defend a demon. The young woman turns to the boy and quietly asks if what he just said is really true. Lowering his eyes, Retsu fell silent for a moment before quietly admitting that everything was just as it seemed. With a wounded look and a note of anxiety, Dea insists that things were completely different. Her eyes search the boy's face as she wonders aloud why he hasn't spoken about it. Helio turns away and steps aside, admitting that he once believed himself brave enough to stand his ground. Turning his head toward the boy, the man locked eyes with him and declared that he was nothing more than a weakling and a crybaby, someone utterly incapable of expressing his own thoughts. Ratsu lowers his gaze, prompting the girl who had appeared as his friend to grow even more uneasy. Just then, a group of fellow travelers who had witnessed everything approaches. They speak up, assuring everyone that the boy had only acted in self-defense. It was Helio, they explain, who suddenly lashed out without reason, starting the whole incident. His partner bristles with anger and demands to know if he is truly betraying his comrades. Calmly, the man explains that it is exactly because they are friends that he cannot reveal the truth, and instead chooses to shoulder some of the burden himself.
According to him, Helios is prone to frequent bouts of wild aggression, yet never once has he attacked adventurers. The man admits this is a real problem. Doubt crept in as he considered it, yet he confesses that true friends should have stopped him, just as Dea did. An employee suddenly enters the office, mumbling an apology as he addresses Janet. She inquires if the interrogation is over. Stepping closer, the man quietly shares all the details. Janet simply nods and remarks that everything now makes sense. Janet addresses the heroes, drawing a parallel between their story and that of the demons. Calmly, she informs Helio and his team that punishment awaits them. They will be suspended for a week, and all of their artifacts will be temporarily confiscated. A guild member demanded that the artifacts be handed over. In response, one of the adventurers voiced his frustration, while his companion urged him to hurry and not waste any more time. Helio turns to her and explains that he doesn't have time for adventures the way she does. With a grave look, he adds that he will never become like her, and the boy immediately understands exactly what he means. The group had already moved ahead when the girl, her confusion plain, asked what he meant. At that moment, the door swung open, and Janet, smiling warmly, welcomed everyone inside. The group made their way down the lengthy corridor as Daya turned to Rats, questioning his silence and wondering why he chose not to respond. The man responds with laughter, while the girl looks at him in surprise and asks what he finds so amusing. The young man admits this question has come his way more than once. Memories surface of a girl from his childhood, one who never missed a chance to remind him that being a boy meant standing up for himself and responding to anyone who dared to hurt him. The man admits it wasn't a matter of unwillingness to answer. Suddenly, Janet whirls around and fixes a keen gaze on the group. As he gazed at the young woman, Rats confessed that deep down he genuinely wished to help her. Janet, astonished, inquires whether he truly intends to side with the enemy of all humanity, willingly exposing himself to the judgment of the world and the danger of becoming an outcast. The others listen closely, their faces betraying genuine surprise as her words hang in the air. The young man responds with quiet confidence, assuring her that he has been ready for quite some time. Janet gives a knowing nod, signaling her understanding, then turns to open the door to the room. In the room, a small demon girl sat at the table. Janet confessed that they had come to a decision. She had nothing to do with the disappearance of the adventurers. The young man and woman exchanged bewildered glances, truly taken aback by those words. True delight lights up Daya and Ratsu's faces as they listen to the girl's words, yet the mood shifts when Jeanette suddenly speaks of new trouble. The girl confides that danger still hangs over her. It seems the demons remain relentless in their pursuit. Surprise flashed across the young man's face as he remembered the girl's explanation. This was precisely why she never lost her way. Janice explained that this was the very reason they would take her with them and bring her to the guild headquarters. By the fountain, an adventurer shares how the artifacts were taken away for a week, insisting there's nothing anyone can do about it. These aren't friends, he mutters. Another man, growing impatient, asks how much longer he plans to complain. The first insists that real friends would have included him in the decision. They should have talked it over together. The haste, he admits, just doesn't make any sense to him. Helio lowers his head in silence. Suddenly, the man whirls around, fixing Helio with a sharp gaze, demanding an answer. Impatience flickers in his eyes. He has already read the truth and now waits for a confession. According to his words, the article caused quite a stir, as one of the 7 great demons had been destroyed by the hand of a hero. That hero turned out to be Helio's childhood best friend. The boys slip quietly out of the castle, accompanied by the Rats, who urge them to move quickly since the halls now lie deserted and silence stretches all around. Dea reassures the group, explaining that even if someone does catch sight of them, she has hidden her identity beneath a hood, so everything will turn out fine. Ratsu explains that the guild's main headquarters is located in the largest city of Clearland. With curiosity, the girl wonders if there are many adventurers there. Dea agrees, remarking that it must truly be the most important place. The girl mentions that they need to meet with the guildmaster and obtain permission to live in the city, though she quietly admits feeling a bit nervous about it. The boy offers reassurance, gently reminding her that everything will be fine, especially since she already knows what to expect. The demon girl gives a quiet nod of agreement. A sense of relief settles over the man as he becomes certain she has nothing to do with the disappearance. Suddenly, both of them catch sight of something unusual. As Ratsu and Daya slowly regained their senses, it struck them that they had yet to introduce themselves. Finally, they took the opportunity to share their names with the girl, letting her know who they were at last. With a hint of shyness, the girl quietly answers that her name is Shitorin Tori. This simple admission makes the boys smile, pleased that she has finally shared her name. Curiosity sparks as they ask where she used to live. Shitorin explains that she called Mount Kokujo her home. Interest piqued, one of the boys leans forward and asks her to tell them more about that place. The girl explains that this is a place where flames and smoldering embers are a constant presence, prompting the men to immediately remark on how harsh life must be there. He then asks if she intends to return. Suddenly the girl falls silent. The boy notices and quietly asks what is wrong. Trembling with fear, she turns to him and whispers that something terrible is lurking nearby. A sudden realization struck the boy, and fear gripped him as he noticed how painful this subject was for the girl. Shifting the conversation, the man suggests it's time for a bite to eat. He asks the girls if they're feeling hungry. Daya immediately catches on and gladly agrees. The man swiftly and confidently assigns tasks to everyone, surprising them with his decisiveness. With enthusiasm, he announces that he will handle setting up the camp. The young woman, her response bright and cheerful, agrees to prepare dinner without hesitation. Meanwhile, a lively fire blazes, filling the evening with warmth and comfort. Curiosity flickers in the man's eyes as he suddenly turns to Rin and asks if she is even capable of eating human food. Rin responds without the slightest hesitation, assuring him that everything is perfectly fine. Sitting nearby, Dai chimes in, questioning whether the food actually tastes good, but Rin, unwavering, insists that all is well. Despite her confident replies, doubt begins to creep into the man's mind, making him wonder if Rin is truly telling the truth. Suddenly, the boy notices a mysterious glow emanating from the ring on the girl's index finger. Intrigued, genuine curiosity lights up his face as he politely asks her to show him the artifact, captivated by a subject that truly fascinates him. With a hint of surprise and a touch of confusion, the girl glanced at the boy. Sensing the awkwardness between them, he hurried to explain himself, assuring her that he never imagined she would look at him with suspicion. A subtle tension hung in the air, prompting Daya to ease the moment. With a gentle smile, she reassured everyone that all truly was well and there was no need for concern. She mentioned, almost playfully, that the young man simply had a deep fascination with artifacts. Such was his nature. Although a hint of embarrassment colors her cheeks, the girl admits that the man does often examine other people's artifacts. Her awkwardness only deepens after the confession, prompting her to apologize quickly. Flushed with redness himself, the man grows visibly uneasy, scrambling to reassure both her and himself that things are not really as they seem. The boy asked the girl when exactly he had done that, prompting her to laugh and admit she was only joking, bringing a light-hearted tone to their conversation. Observing the exchange in silence, Rin found himself surprised by how events were unfolding and quietly watched them, trying to make sense of it all. With a hint of awkwardness, the man asks the girl why she brought up the subject at all. Genuine embarrassment lingers in his expression, yet he admits with honesty that his curiosity about such artifacts is strong. Suddenly, the quiet sound of the girl's laughter drifts through the air, transforming the entire situation into something much more lighthearted. The heroes glance back and notice a young girl beaming with a genuine smile for the first time in ages. The warmth of her happiness fills the air and lifts the spirits of everyone nearby. Rin, full of trust, extended her hand toward the man, revealing the ring nestled in her palm for a closer look. The gesture caught him off guard, her openness more than he expected. Confirming that he was truly allowed to examine the ring, he expressed genuine gratitude for her confidence. His fingers brushed lightly over the surface, instantly recognizing it as a rank C artifact. As he scrutinized the relic more closely, a tinge of disappointment flickered through his mind. It was, regrettably, rather weak. Ratsu pondered everything and came to a realization. It was no wonder the guild immediately decided this girl posed no threat. A sudden realization dawns on the young man. The first level serves as undeniable proof of her innocence. She has never killed anyone. With hands clasped tightly, the girl asks, her voice tinged with hope, whether this is enough. Meeting her gaze with respect and sincerity, the man confesses how glad he is to have saved her and how grateful he feels that she remains by his side. Addressing the girl, the young man explains that the sacred artifact of the demons is a weapon designed to take human lives, yet at the same time, it serves as an ordinary tool capable of healing wounds. The girl studies her glowing ring with care, her thoughts drifting as she considers just how valuable it might be. The man recalls how she rescued the dog and came to their aid when they were injured. He admits that such kindness is truly deserving of this sacred relic. Embarrassment tinges her cheeks at his words, yet a quiet happiness blooms within her for having been of help. Searching for the right response but finding none, she instead nestles down and quietly murmurs that it is time for sleep. The young man nodded in agreement, acknowledging his own need for rest. He suggested they take turns keeping watch, knowing that everyone had endured a long and eventful day. Turning to the man resting against her arm and listening intently, the girl shares something intriguing she heard from Miss Janet. She tells him about a special area designed to protect demon agents, a piece of news that piques their curiosity. With a steaming cup of fragrant tea warming her hands, Dea leans in with curiosity and asks the young man if he knows anything about this unique place. He admits he knows nothing, yet the spark of intrigue in his eyes grows even brighter. Rising to his feet, the man casts a perplexed glance her way and asks which place she means. With a newfound seriousness, the girl explains that this is a unique place established by the guild to protect and shelter peaceful demons. Conflict in any form is strictly forbidden here. She points out that both humans and demons live side by side, free from hostility, which inspires those with hope to envision new possibilities. Curiosity gets the better of the boy, and he asks where that place can be found. Yet the girl replies with a trace of sadness in her voice that no such place exists, as the plan was rejected long ago and has been forgotten since then, leaving her genuinely disappointed. Resting his hand on his face, the man remarks that after everything that happened today, a place like that would have been just what they needed. With his head resting thoughtfully in his hands, the young man struggled to grasp why Dea had brought up this subject at all. Across from him, Dea fidgeted uneasily, her voice barely above a whisper as she asked if he truly cared about her. As the girl gazed at her sleeping friend, she realized that their plan remained just that, a plan, not yet acted upon. Others like them once existed, individuals who truly wished to help defenseless demons, hunted and mistreated by the world around them. The man's eyes widen in astonishment, as if new thoughts have suddenly pierced through him. Meanwhile, the girl moves forward without pausing, her voice steady as she explains that even if everyone around them believes they are wrong, she remains certain they are doing what is right. A wave of pure happiness washes over Rats, prompting a heartfelt smile as he expresses gratitude to the little girl for her unwavering support. A promise escapes his lips. He assures her they will find a home for Rin, and that hope fills him with renewed determination. The child, shy at first upon hearing his words, still manages to offer everyone a gentle and warm smile. The next morning, the boys set out on their journey, brimming with excitement. Eager steps carried them over mountains and rocky cliffs, while broad rivers offered new challenges to cross. All the while, they took in the stunning beauty of the nature surrounding them. The boys continued along unfamiliar paths, and the young man noticed how much ground they had covered that day. A quiet pride stirred within him for all they had accomplished, fueling his determination to press on. That afternoon, the boys decide to take a dip in the lake, seeking relief from the sweltering heat. Enjoying the refreshing coolness of the water, Rin calls out to one of the boys and asks if he plans to join them. A smile lights up the girl's face, yet a hint of reproach laces her words as she gently explains that the man cannot join them. Silently, the man watches, his gaze clouded with silent confusion as he takes in the unfolding scene. A warm smile spreads across his face as he gently remarks that being together matters more than whether she is human or demon. What truly counts is that in this very moment they stand side by side. Lost in thought, the boy can't shake the unsettling truth that danger does exist. Disappearances, for instance, continue to haunt his mind. As the laughter from their swimming fades and the excitement settles, Dia approaches him quietly, offering a gentle apology for making him wait so long. The young man, returning to his tasks, rummages through his bag when a sinister, repulsive laugh pierces the air. Surprise and wariness flash across his face as he lifts his gaze toward the source of the sound, his heartbeat quickening with unease and anticipation. Lifting his head, he found himself staring into a sea of demons, their forms tensed and ready to strike, a sight that sent a ripple of unease through him. A crocodile-headed demon beams a wide grin and addresses Shatarana, announcing with a strange delight that at last she has been found. Yet beneath his cheerful words, a threatening tone lingers. A wave of fear washed over Rin at the sight of the demons. Counting their numbers left the boy bewildered. Disbelief clouded his thoughts as he struggled to accept that these truly were demons, and puzzled over why so many had gathered here. Observing the girl stepping protectively in front of Rin, his mind raced with confusion, wondering how they could have remained oblivious to the demon's presence until now. The crocodile-headed demon brandishes his sword, a predatory grin spreading across his face, and declares his terms. If the girl is not handed over, the boy will die. If the boy obeys, all of them will meet a swift end. With these chilling words, the demon throws down a challenge, turning the situation into a twisted game where the choice must be made. Realizing the gravity of the moment, the young man takes a firm battle stance, gripping his inactive sword with determination. Silence hangs between them as he follows the demon's every move, prepared for whatever might come next. Without warning, the demon, unable to contain its fury, lunges forward and demands an answer with a harsh command. The creature brandishes its sword and strikes, filling the air with palpable tension. With calm assurance, the young man states that the demon moves far too slowly, his tone carrying a clear note of challenge. Reptile let out a low chuckle and declared with confidence that their paths would cross again, raising his sword in preparation. Yet the boy moved with remarkable agility. Igniting his own blade, he struck in a swift, decisive motion, severing the demon's paw. The unexpected display of skill left everyone around them stunned. Raising his pistol to the creature's face, the man speaks with genuine resolve. He will never hand over the girl, nor does he intend to kill the beast. A steady, unwavering look holds firm in his eyes as he calmly repeats his final decision, an unshakable determination radiating in the air around him. The demon, stunned by the boy's actions, feels a chilling terror seize his heart, struggling to grasp the boy's true nature. He realizes that nothing has unfolded as he was told, and dread sweeps through him from head to toe. Suddenly, as if responding to some unseen command, all the demons erupt in panic and flee the place without looking back. Just then, another figure steps out of the shadows and declares with unshakable certainty that all their efforts have been in vain. Summoning every ounce of strength, the adventurer unleashed a devastating blow that instantly brought all the demons to their knees, leaving them utterly defenseless. Ratsuo crouches low, using the tree as a shield to avoid an incoming strike. Hidden behind the rough bark, he peers intently at the man perched high on a distant branch. Observing the confusion written on the strangers' faces, the traveler offers a polite apology and calmly explains that they have no use for these worthless demons. A boy observes a child before him, appearing as if sculpted from living snow. Skin, hair, eyes, clothing, and even the strange artifact clasped in small hands shimmer with the brilliance of pure white. The man fixes his gaze on him, lost in thought, struggling to grasp the source of this strange sensation, a pressure closing in, as if some invisible force is trying to squeeze him. Perched on a branch, the young man surveys the scene with sharp awareness, openly admitting the sheer impressiveness of it all. A quiet note of surprise colors his words as he thinks aloud. He had assembled an entire army of demons, yet the hero managed to defeat them effortlessly, as if it required no effort at all. At that moment, Ratsu reacted with genuine surprise to what he had just heard and, taking it seriously, asked what exactly the speaker meant. The man calls out, urging him to come down and inviting him to have a calm conversation. Hesitating for a moment, the boy asks why he's foolish enough to let himself be so defenseless. Watching them as if he were invisible, he wears a confident smile and calmly assures that his prey will be claimed no matter what. The tension in the air thickens with every word he utters. Driven by the need to shield his companions, the man raises his sword and casts a mighty spell. Ratsu finds herself pondering what exactly the man meant when he spoke of his true purpose. But in that moment, Dea realizes the girl has vanished. Worry spreads quickly, and panic sweeps through the group. In an instant, Rin finds herself wrapped in the boy's arms, filling the group with an uneasy dread as they realize she is once more in danger. Worry for her safety washes over them. With a trembling voice, Rin turns to Ratsuina Day, regret coloring her words as she laments that they couldn't save her right then and there. Without a moment's hesitation, the young man summons a bolt of black lightning, channeling its power through his sword as he strikes at his foe. Electricity crackles along the blade, surging towards its target, yet the instant the blow lands, the adversary vanishes. The unexpected disappearance leaves him truly astonished. From a distance behind Ratsu, a young man suddenly appeared, calmly acknowledging the impressive abilities of his opponent, offering quiet respect for such strength. Yet the man insists that it is still not enough, pointing out Ratsu's lack of real battle experience. The words stab into Ratsu like a nail driven straight into his heart. A storm brews within him, simmering anger flooding his senses. Unrestrained, Ratsu shouts the girl's name with fierce determination, vowing to save her no matter what it takes. With a determined gaze, the young man announced his mission to take the girl, channeling black lightning once again as he darted from one spot to another, striking out with relentless speed. Yet in a sudden twist, his foe reappeared right behind him, voice edged with a faint mockery as he asked if everything was all right. Observing this, Dea realized just how incredibly fast their opponent moved. Ratsu glanced back, unaware of how swiftly the demons were vanishing right beneath his nose, a realization that only deepened his unease. Seizing her moment, the girl breaks free from the man's grasp and firmly demands her release. In response, the young man, his voice cold and stern, declares that he did not come here solely because of her. He has business with others as well. Turning toward the girl, he shifts his gaze to the heroes and calmly asks her if she wishes for him to take these two with him. With a sly grin, the young man announces their destination as Onyx. At the mere mention of the name, Rin freezes in terror, her legs rooted to the spot. Memories of her brother's warning flood her mind, urging her to run without looking back. Laughter bursts from the young man, slicing through the stillness like a sheet of paper. Ratsu watches in astonishment. The man, equally bewildered, cannot comprehend how he managed to split the very air and marvels at what seems to be a true miracle before his eyes. A colossal, glowing portal suddenly splits the air before the girl. Shimmering and radiant, it resembles a pathway carved through time itself. Ratsu extends a trembling hand, his voice tight with panic as he pleads with Rin to keep her distance. At the same time, desperation colors his words as he begs her to run to him as quickly as she can. Yet the girl keeps her gaze fixed on the portal, refusing even to glance back. Driven by a surge of desperation and the unwillingness to give up, the boy shouts her name with all his strength, hoping to snap her out of her trance. Meanwhile, the pale young man stands back, watching the scene unfold with a smile that suggests he finds the entire spectacle amusing. Rin suddenly turns to the boys, her face glowing with a gentle smile, though she remains silent. The girl turns away once more and steps slowly into the portal, her figure gradually swallowed by its unfathomable depths. The boy remarks that she is a demon, destined never to live among humans, as if fate itself has already decreed it. The man bids farewell to the wandering stranger,
while Ratsu, still clutching his hand, gazes in bewilderment as the portal steadily closes before their eyes. His eyes linger on the escape route, hope flickering within him. Even as the harsh reality settles in, there is nothing he can do to change this unyielding situation. The following day, the townspeople gathered with renewed determination, vowing that today they would catch the demon and restore justice. Yet unease crept into the crowd when a man suddenly asked what the guild would say if their efforts failed, stirring doubt among those assembled. Out of nowhere, a black demon materializes before them, an insidious grin spreading across his entire face as he laughs slyly. The men within the crowd, taken aback by his confident entrance, murmur in astonishment, questioning his identity.
The black-eyed demon cheerfully and smugly counts the soldiers. There are about 20 of them. A laugh escapes him as he loudly declares that he won't even need to go to the city, turning his words into a challenge. Uneasy whispers ripple through the ranks as the soldiers murmur to one another, questioning if this truly is a demon before them. With unwavering confidence, the demon nods in agreement and asks if it isn't obvious, hinting that he is far more than just an ordinary demon. Suddenly, one of the warriors, having conquered his own fear, raises his hand and commands his comrades to attack. The demon watches their charge in silent astonishment. 3 men lunged forward in unison, their swords flashing as they struck the demon's body with fierce, coordinated blows. Without moving an inch, he asks with a faint smile if they truly intend to take action. He calmly requests that they hear him out until the end, and suddenly, his words alter the entire mood in the room. The warriors watched the stranger with a mixture of fear and curiosity, unable to decipher his identity, yet unsettled by his unwavering confidence. Without warning, the demon announced himself as one of the 7 great overlords, a being of unimaginable power. In the blink of an eye, he unleashed a dazzling blow, and the entire world seemed to shift in an instant. Ratsu sifted dreamily through his collection of artifacts, carefully examining each item in hopes of discovering something useful. With every passing moment and every trinket he inspected, the realization settled deeper within him. None of these treasures would be of any help in the upcoming battle. Uncertainty clouded his thoughts, and a growing sense of despair began to take hold of his heart. With furrowed brow, the young man sifted through his thoughts, unable to grasp why none of these artifacts seemed to fit. Confidence had once filled him, the belief that any weapon he forged would suit his needs. A voice broke his reverie, Daya's puzzled words drifting through the air, wondering aloud why Rin had left. Her remark deepened the quiet anxiety they all felt. The girl admitted softly that she truly believed they were all genuine friends. Reflecting on the way the girl had walked away, the boy quietly admitted to himself, sadness weighing on his heart. True friends, he realized, would never part looking so lost and embarrassed. Clutching her hands to her chest, the girl nods, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. Though disbelief lingers, she cannot deny the laughter they shared only moments ago, a memory that now wraps tightly around her heart, stirring a sharp ache within. Lost in thought, Daya struggled to understand why Rin had left in the first place. The boy suggested she should ask Rin herself, urging her to hurry since time would not wait for them. With surprise, Daya wondered aloud where they were heading. The boy turned to her and explained that it all had something to do with his unique ability. The story unfolds as he describes how the man in white wielded an artifact to slice through space itself, moving as if the very rules of reality simply faded away. He adds that the sudden appearance of demons and the distant assault likely gave rise to this marvel and the extraordinary power on display. Realization dawns that brute force alone will never overcome this opponent, a fact that stirs unease within him. Suddenly, Rats reveals a suspicion about Rin's current whereabouts, and hope flickers alive in his chest. Casting a glance at the girl, the man noticed a faint scent of something burnt lingering in this particular corner of the room. Her earlier words echoed in his mind. She lived where smoke curled endlessly and embers never fully died out. Suddenly, a flicker of realization crosses Daya's mind as she tries to recall if she ever mentioned this place to them. Only vague, misty memories surface, refusing to form into anything clear.
Determined and unwavering, the young man declares that he will save Rin. His voice steady with purpose, he instructs the girl to get ready, for they are setting out for Mount Kuyo this very moment. The certainty in his words carries a weight that feels almost magical. At that moment, the pale boy and the girl entered a vast, shadowy cavern filled with the low murmur of darkness. As they stepped inside, the boy turned eagerly to Onyx, his face lighting up with joy, and announced that he had finally come home, as if returning after a long and arduous journey. From around the corner, a demon with the head of a serpent emerges and greets the young man. Without delay, the man asks for news about Onyx. The demon replies that Onyx has just returned, and this announcement causes everyone nearby to hold their breath in anticipation of what will happen next. Suddenly, another demon appears, dashing toward them with a bright, elated expression, announcing the long-awaited return of Quartz. At that instant, the girl catches sight of him and is instantly gripped by fear, while the demon greets her with a mix of joy and menace, asking if she truly hasn't missed him. Panic surges through Rin, and she desperately tries to hide away from her dread. The demon, delivering news from the court, inquires about the fate of their people. The white man, his apathy undisguised, responds that, unfortunately, nothing worked out. With that single remark, the true intentions of everyone present become clear. The boy inquires if he realized that they were not only heading to the royal capital, but also traveling along the same route, a detail that highlights the significance of their journey. The demon fixes him with a stern gaze, announcing that news has reached them about a renegade plotting revenge. The revelation sends a shock through everyone present, and a palpable tension fills the air. The demon suddenly settles onto a stone and declares that even among their own ranks, there is an informant secretly working for the guild. He goes on to say that people will do anything if offered enough money, claiming that this reveals their true nature. The girl, taken aback by his words, gazes at him in surprise. Quartz agrees, mentioning that he would be glad to help as long as it's within his abilities. Suddenly, the black demon speaks up, openly declaring a desire to have Quartz join his team. The young man replies with quiet certainty that joining them would mean severing all ties with other groups. His words immediately extinguish any lingering hopes. Seated on a stone throne, the demon leans forward with interest and asks what his true objective really is. A wide grin spreads across the white demon's face as he finally unveils his true intentions. He admits that his sole desire is the destruction of humanity, a goal he cherishes above all else. With a mocking smile, the black demon wonders aloud if caution might suit him after all, since, should everything unfold as intended, he could very well become the next demon king himself. The demon reminded him once again that the previous candidate had been killed by a little red-haired girl. Unfazed, the fighter calmly replied that it did not concern him, revealing an unwavering determination. The young man admits that the moment has come to set out and rescue Rin. With a curious glint in his eyes, the demon wonders aloud how many adventurers had gathered there. Calmly, the man responds that not a single one will come to her aid. Rin ventured here alone, and none of them have any reason to save her. The white man picks up his belongings and quietly departs, hinting enigmatically that their paths will cross again. His words carry an air of mystery. The black demon, caught off guard by what he just heard, turns to her and asks if she truly came here alone. Suddenly, the black demon rushes forward, wrapping his arms tightly around the girl and demanding to know if she is finally ready to heal his right hand. Fear flashes across her face as she begs him to stop. With a sudden motion, the girl pushes him away and orders him not to touch her. The black demon's gaze falls to the ring on her finger, and as his hand brushes against the ornament, the truth dawns on him. She remains trapped at the first level. He turns to her, asking whether she still hasn't found the courage to take a human life. Rin, gripped by fear, can only stare at the demon in silence. The black demon lets her go, clearly surprised. Could she really have returned just to give his arm back? With steady resolve, the girl firmly denies it, making it clear she has come for an entirely different reason. Once again, Rin protests, her voice tinged with frustration.
reminding him for what feels like the 100th time that she simply doesn't possess that much strength. The demon covers his face with a hand, doubting if it is really true, for her current strength truly falls short. Yet, without pausing, he assures her there is no cause for concern. Everything has been anticipated for such an occasion. Startled, the girl quickly demands to know what he has planned. The black demon turns to Shinta and reveals that after her departure, he began abducting adventurers with the help of the courtiers. He confesses that his true intention was to find someone capable of healing his right arm. The man reluctantly admits that, regrettably, no one is around. The girl, catching sight of something peculiar, asks him to wait. Curiosity piqued, she inquires about how he has spent his time here. Without hesitation, the demon confesses that he has been kidnapping adventurers. A sudden chill runs through Rin as Janet's warning about the missing adventurers flashes through her mind. The black demon remarks that he never really expected much from humans, yet their indifference inspired him to devise a truly brilliant scheme. The man claims that these artifacts grow more powerful with every life they claim. Method does not matter, he adds. What counts is the removal of a person. Suddenly, the girl notices a wooden cart drawing near them. Her gaze catches a harrowing sight. Within the cart, dragged along by demons, several people linger in a state of utter exhaustion. Without warning, one of the demons hoists the cart upright, causing all those feeble souls to spill helplessly onto the hard ground. Terror seizes the girl as she faces people on the verge of collapse, pleading for help. Rin sinks to the ground, paralyzed by fear and unable to move. The demon, curiosity flickering in its gaze, inquires about her actions. The black demon with a terrifying face grips the girl tightly, declaring that all these materials have been gathered for her sake, to make her stronger and restore his arm. His piercing gaze locks onto hers as he issues a cold command. Kill them. Through the tangled forest, Rats and Daya move at a hurried pace. Weariness weighs on the girl, her breath coming in ragged gasps as she apologizes to the boy. She confesses her fear of slowing him down and quietly asks him to leave her behind and continue on his own. Turning toward the girl, the young man shares that they have finally arrived at Mount Kokuyo. At that moment, Rin remembers her brother's name, Right Tori, and quietly wonders why he has two given names. Little Ren rushes after her brother, her curiosity leading her to ask why he is called both Right and Toru. The boy turns around and calmly explains that, besides a given name, people also have a family name that connects them to their relatives. The boy turns to his sister and asks if it's really so charming, then eagerly tries to mimic it himself. With wide-eyed admiration, the girl nods in agreement and, with great ceremony, declares that from this day forward she shall be known as Shitori Tori. Memories of her brother's deep affection for people drifted through Rin's mind. His fascination with humanity had earned him the affectionate nickname Mr. Human from her, as he showed endless curiosity about relationships and the bonds that connect individuals. Memories of their shared village life surface in her mind, where he had always treated her like a cherished younger sister. In her heart, she gladly admits that her feelings for him were filled with the affectionate devotion reserved for a beloved brother. Rin raises her dark ring to her brother, catching his attention as he notices she now has a ring of her own. Beaming with pride, she shows off how it glows softly in the darkness, her excitement shining just as brightly. The boy explained that among humans there was a special tradition. When a man and woman fall in love, they place wedding rings on each other's left ring fingers, sealing an important promise. Hearing this, the girl's face lit up with delight, and she eagerly announced that she wanted to exchange rings with her brother as well. However, the boy reminded her that as siblings, it wouldn't be appropriate. Instead, he suggested they wear rings on the index fingers of their right hands. Rin found the idea a bit surprising at first, but then she thought, why not? The young man explains to his sister that her kindness has granted her the gift of healing magic, a power she can use on both humans and demons. A gentle smile lights up his face as he adds that this artifact was crafted specifically with her in mind. Rin once believed her peaceful days would last forever, but that illusion shattered the moment he appeared. While wandering through the forest one day, She noticed a demon wounded by an adventurer. Without a second thought, she hurried to his side, her voice filled with concern as she asked if he was all right. Without hesitation, the young woman channels healing magic into the demon. Yet, instead of gratitude, he stares at himself in surprise and bolts away. Hurt by his reaction, Rin can't help but notice he left without a word of thanks. Her brothers gently explain that the demon feels insulted and upset, so she shouldn't take it to heart. Patsy's, a young man brimming with confidence, offers her firm encouragement and praises her for a job well done. A joyful smile lights up her face as she accepts his words. Their moment of triumph is interrupted when the angry voices of the townspeople begin to echo through the streets. The black demon addressed the girl, acknowledging her remarkable talent. He assured her that his people would look after her. Introducing himself as Onyx, the demon explained he had come to take her away with him. Shielded by her brother's presence, the girl crouched in fear as the black demon drew near. In a low, persuasive voice, he extended an offer: join forces with him and aid in reclaiming his lost right arm. Rising to his feet, the young man moves protectively in front of his sister and calmly explains to the demon that, unfortunately, Shatori lacks such power at the moment. With polite firmness, he asks the demon to surrender and return home. The demon ponders the situation, realizing that if the girl lacks enough strength now, she must grow stronger by defeating others. Yet the boy firmly resists the suggestion, stating that his sister refuses such a path. The demon, with a hint of surprise, remarks how unusual that seems. Onik realizes his approach to communication has failed, and the consequences look grim. The demon's expression shifts in an instant, anger sharpening her features as she asserts her authority, and declares that this is not a request, but an order. Rising with determination, the young man steps forward to shield his sister, gripping the enchanted sphere tightly as he channels its mystical energy at the advancing demon. The brother ordered his sister to run, but fear held her in place as she insisted she couldn't leave. Raising his voice, the boy urgently shouted for her to escape at once, and with tears streaming down her face, the girl finally turned and fled. Bursting into the village, Rin raced through the streets, her voice trembling as she pleaded for help. Several men noticed her distress and hurried over, concern etched across their faces as they asked what had happened. Exhausted and shaking with fear, tears streaming down her cheeks, Rin desperately begged them to save her. Barely managing to summon her strength, the girl whispers that her brother needs help. When the men notice the horns on her head, however, fear grips them and they pull away. The men raised their voices, hurling accusations at the girl and calling her a demon, convinced she brought danger and death to them all. In response, she remained silent, her gaze shifting toward them without a single word or reaction. The men ordered every villager to flee, while the bewildered girl, hope flickering in her eyes, turned to them and pleaded for someone to listen to her. Approaching one of the villagers, she pleads for help, but the man simply orders the others to gather anything that could serve as a weapon. The moment they spot the demon, the villagers become determined to destroy it. Fear and panic seize the little demon, the terror mounting as worry for his brother overwhelms him. The voice of the black demon echoes in her mind, commanding her to destroy humanity, yet she remains seated on the floor, clutching our horns tightly, trembling with fear. With a mocking laugh, the demon turned to Chitorin and questioned her lack of action, wondering aloud if she had no desire to lend him a helping hand. Gesturing toward the wounded, he revealed that every detail of this scene had been carefully orchestrated with her in mind.